Professional cross-country racers are elite level athletes, and this is the Olympic discipline for mountain biking. They have to deal with undulating circuits, long bursting climbs and technical descents. The races are typically an hour and a half long with no rest. Even the descents are hard fought, so rarely do racers get to recover. The physiological requirements needed to meet these demands are truly elite. So how will a pair of mere mortals compare?
Just how fit are World Cup cross-country racers? We're here in Switzerland to find out.
Yes, we've come all the way out here for just one day to go to the gym.
With someone very special, Nino Schurter, one of the greatest of all time, 7 times world champion, Olympic champion, winning everything again. I don't know whose idea this was.
I have Garmin.
Nino's a Garmin sponsored athlete. Well, we're Garmin sponsors as well, so it was their idea. Here we are. This is going to hurt.
It's going to hurt, Neil. You ready to get your...
You're looking very blue, Blake.
I feel very blue, Neil.
You look green in a minute.
No, you're going to get your legs ripped off and beaten with a soggy end.
Two parts to this day, gym and then on the bike. Have you seen the video of Nino doing this that's already on YouTube?
A little bit.
So this circuit training is 9 things, so 3 exercises for legs, 3 for core, 3 for upper body, but there's no rest. In between your circuit, you have 20 seconds of like cognitive recovery, I think he calls it. So juggling balls, standing on balance balls.
Juggling balls.
Juggling.
I can't juggle, so I'm going to have to find some other means of cognitive training. Do you know, I keep saying this on videos, nervous, but do you know, I've never been nervous going to a gym. Goosebumps, because it's Nino Schurter, and we're going to be following in his personal training facility where he gets trained up. This is a crucial point in his season. He's winning. He's won both his races so far, and now he's training and getting ready for his next one. And we're here, we've got ropes set up, juggling balls, we've got balance, we've got some weights, we've got some crazy wheel thing that looks nuts, some medicine balls. Are you ready for Neil and I to throw up on camera? Because it might happen today.
Nino Schurter, Olympic champion, 7-time world champion, 6-time World Cup champion with 32 World Cup victories along the way, and the 2-time Cape Epic winner. Neil Donoghue, me, a 2-time British downhill winner with various top 10s at World Cup downhill and 2 UK Gravity Enduro championships. These days I don't stick to any sort of training schedule, although I do still try to keep fit by riding a couple of times a week with a pub stop and the odd road ride and a push-up or 2. Blake Sampson, an ex-professional freerider, Blake comes from the mountain bike family. They're at home on big jumps on the trail and not in the gym, and aren't necessarily known for their training and athletic diets. Although Blake is no stranger to a big ride and he's strong as an ox. Possibly just from fitting heavy accessories to his beloved Jeep and a few casual bicep curls, that's beer.
Nino's going first. I'm then copying what Nino does. Blake's following me. Ready?
Ah, you're ready.
There were 3 torturous exercises for each muscle set. Jumping and turning onto the box with a bar in your hand was an absolute killer to start it off with. The squat with a kettlebell on the balance board took a lot of skill along with a physical effort. Dragging the weights with your heels was an absolute killer because it took a lot of downward pressure to actually move those weights. Holding on to the radiator with your legs being thrown around was complete sadism and one that I really struggled at.
Generate progression.
No, after that. Some of these exercises were actually too hard. We had to make them a little bit easier. So that ball twist, holding a dumbbell between your feet, became just too difficult for me, and I just had to do it with the ball by itself. Also, the bar raise whilst leaning over the medicine ball really tested out your lower back muscles.
Hold the body.
Then for the upper body, the rope. The press up on the ball, almost impossible. And the dips that almost finished Blake off.
Death. Death.
Come on. It's not over.
What about if we can't juggle? Is there something else we can do instead of juggling? Because yeah. You have to learn. You have to learn. Cool.
Go there.
Thanks, Nino.
So I used to raise pressure down.
That was insane. 42 minutes, 3 reps from toe to head. And I can't even. I'm done. But we're not done. We've got loads more to do. We've got to go cycling.
I couldn't, some of that was actually impossible for me. Like I couldn't complete the exercises. I didn't have the strength on circuit 1, never mind on circuit 3.
So yeah, the end of circuit 2, I was the core twist when you hold the weight between your feet.
That's another one. In the end, I couldn't actually hold the weight. I gave up on that. I just pinched my feet together.
Yeah.
So I was saying I burnt 512 calories.
I burnt
half an hour.
500 as well.
And 29 hours of recovery.
Yeah.
Except we're going into an interval session after lunch.
Lunch, and then no. If that was hard.
VO2 max interval session, so I know what this is going to be like. It's going to be.
It's gonna be throw up.
Yeah.
Neil, he's setting up more stuff. That's the squats, Neil.
Not done in the gym yet.
We're not done in the gym, Neil. I literally felt like throwing up on the other one. Did you?
Yes.
Did you hear me coughing? I was going, oh gosh, oh no, Neil.
Easy.
So Nino's just done 100.
I'm doing 70.
Yeah, I would recommend that, Neil.
I did 130.
Sorry, he did 130, he corrected me. Go on, Neil.
Oh, that is no one. Well, not even.
Could I try it? Impressive.
Good.
Very good. Nice. 5 minutes.
6 times 5 minutes of VO2 max.
5 minutes in VO2 max, and you guys just try to follow me.
For Nino's VO2 max is about 410 to 450 watts. Mine was 320 about 10 years ago, so it's not looking good.
I've never had one.
Guys ready?
Don't forget to start your computer.
Yeah.
Mine started.
And 1, 2.
Well, that's 450 watts.
Oh, he's suffering. Nicola behind him kicks his ass. Come on, push, 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 push! Almost at the top! Come on! Oh.
Okay, go Blake.
Blake, come on!
Go, go, go.
I will chase you! Come on, Blake! Is he taking the drop or not? No, he isn't!
On the bike, we did VO2 max intervals. VO2 max, simply put, is the amount of oxygen your body can consume during intense exercise. Along with functional threshold power, it's a figure that shows just how good your fitness is. The highest ever recorded VO2 max is 96. That's milligrams per kilo per minute, and that's associated with a male cross-country skier. And it's 77 for women. It does get lower with age, but generally speaking, anything above 50 puts you in the very high fitness bracket. Back when I was a pro enduro racer, mine was 69, but much lower now. Blake has never done a VO2 max test, and whilst Nino was really open with his data, this was one figure he wanted to keep close to his chest.
Second interval. So we had a little spin around here.
This one went quite well. I had an average of 445.
Second interval. Neil.
Yeah. So I was way over my VO2 max down, so I'm going to pay the price.
I was 100% out of my comfort zone.
In these intervals, Nino can normally produce between 410 and 450 watts, depending on the conditions. And that's what he's aiming to do, monitor his power on his Garmin computer and sit at that consistently for the 5 minutes. Then it's a 4-minute rest, but that includes riding down a steep, rough downhill track. Any time left over is used spinning in circles on the flat and then repeat. The problem for myself and Blake, we ended up taking much longer than the 5 minutes to get up the climb, so we're only getting a minute or so rest at the bottom. Nino was actually riding much further up the climb, then spinning back round and coming down the descent. So what about the data for those 6 intervals? Well, it was 6 times up the hill, designed to take 5 minutes each time. Well, Nino's average heart rate for those 6 intervals comes out at 166 BPM, which is about 86% of his maximum heart rate. His power stays really consistent, 445 up to 454, and only gradually starts to dip on that last couple of intervals, down to 432 watts. Over to me, you can see on that first interval, I tried to stick with Nino, unsuccessfully I might add, and my power was 312 watts on average for that first interval, but you can see just how much higher my heart rate is. I was up to about 95% of my max heart rate. Then you can see on the subsequent intervals how much my power starts to go. Second interval is 265 and it goes down again to 232. My average heart rate was about 95% of my max, and my average watts was 254. You can see how Blake didn't take the bait of Nino in front, and he's much more consistent than I am. Actually, for those last 3 intervals, he beat me to the top. His average heart rate was 175 and his power 220.
Well, thanks very much, Nino. Although I'm not sure I should be thanking you because that was ridiculous.
I hope you enjoyed.
It was torture.
A little bit.
Welcome back, you beautiful people. I'm out here with Ollie Beckinsale, 3 times Olympic XC racer, a coach, and we've got 5 tips on how to lose weight and get fit through those winter months, because it's the time to hibernate, but we're gonna slash that. Get off that couch, get out there and get fit. We've got you to help.
Yep, so today we're going to look at the best ways to get fit this winter so we can come out back in the spring, smash those goals, PBs, Strava sections, race podiums. That's the key today. There's an old roadie saying, winter miles, summer smiles.
Oh, I like that.
And that's what it's about. Okay, so if we're sitting around in the winter, very easy, just to sit there, make another cup of tea, sit on the sofa.
Sounds good.
But we've got a couple of things today that can help motivate us to get out and about, get fitter, and like I say, smash the spring.
Ready, let's get muddy.
Do it. Right, so the key first thing is we're not going to start jumping into riding yet. Okay. Or any kind of specific stuff. The most important thing for the winter is your motivation.
Which gets killed a lot because it's freezing outside.
Freezing, probably less motivated to go out.
Yeah.
All right, so the most important thing for motivation, the thing that's going to help, is to set yourself a goal. All right, so a lot of people, when they think goal, they start thinking of a race, okay?
Yeah.
That's how my brain would work. But it's not necessarily the best way to do it. It doesn't have to be a race, it could be for some of you guys, but the best thing, maybe just think of something a bit more personal. All right, and come up with a goal that might be out there that you ride every day. All right, so a little cheesy acronym we can look at, SMART. All right.
Ooh, I like
all right,
clever.
so when you're thinking about your goal, think SMART. All right, so specific, all right, measurable,
Yeah.
achievable,
Yeah.
relevant,
Yeah.
and time-based.
Okay.
Okay, it's easy 5. Okay, so for you, you could be thinking, okay, I need to get my fitness up now. How about a 20K loop that you normally ride?
I know the perfect one. Yes.
All right, so it's something you might ride regularly. You could ride it with your mates. It might be a Strava section that you do, okay? And you want to go, well, actually, that's worth it. It's specific because you ride it every day and you know what's good or what's bad or how it's going to improve.
What's the challenge?
Measurable, obviously, we've got a time for it. And this is where your gadgets and bits and bobs can help. Okay, it's relevant, it's your route. If you go on it and you're faster, your mates are going to know there's a bit of competition going on, okay?
Yep.
And the main thing, it's relevant, it's your loop, okay? Got to be time-based too. So there's no point in picking a goal that's way out there. You know, classic one, new year, new me, I'm going to go and ride my mountain bike for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Ain't going to work.
It's not going to work,
Right.
no.
So for me, I can ride about 5 hours a week, okay? Free rides, 5 hours is normally about right.
That sounds about achievable.
That achievable. If I suddenly said, well, I'm going to jump from 5 to 8, I'm going to probably fail, motivation drops, and then we've gone backwards again. So try and think something that you can achieve. It's got to be motivating, but it doesn't need to be so out there that after a month, you sack it off.
I like it.
right.
Achievable. That's probably one of the main ones, eh?
All right, but the big thing, if we can keep that motivation, set a goal, keep motivated, that's the first point to losing weight, getting fit. Okay, so we're motivated,
Yes.
you've got your goal. Okay.
Got it.
The key now is to be consistent with your training.
Oh, now that could be quite hard, hey?
So try and think of the sessions you can do regularly that fits around, so it's got to fit around your life, work, family,
Oh, that's a big one.
okay? And then, so let's try and think, so you might have a commute that you can do.
Oh, yes,
You might
I
not be able
have.
to do it every day.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's one thing we can try and do. But if we can do a consistency, so try and think of a weekly goal. All right, I think that's a good way of doing it. That helps with the consistency. Instead of just having sessions coming all there and everywhere, I'm free rides a week, and it doesn't necessarily matter what those rides actually are, as long as I'm getting something done. Okay, so I might wake up and go, well, I normally do a commute on a Tuesday of an hour, a mountain bike ride with my mates at night on a Wednesday, and then something on a Saturday, for example. But something might change, something might pop up at work, wife needs to go out and do something, things have to change pretty rapidly. And this is where you kind of, what I'd look at is having a menu of stuff, all right? So you've got a little menu of rides you can do in a week, and you've got all your stuff ready. So you could suddenly go, all right, I can't do my Wednesday night ride, but I can suddenly get my cross bike, gravel bike, and do a Thursday commute.
Nice.
The key is trying to hit those 3 things a week.
What happens if the weather's bad? Can I go to the gym and do a spin
Yeah,
class
same thing.
or
Yeah,
a
add
gym
in
session?
the indoor sessions as
Yeah.
well. So that's where your indoor turbos come in. And they're obviously more entertaining. There's far more interactive ways
Yeah.
of doing that now than there was with the smart trainers.
Yeah.
A gym session, like even if it's a conditioning session in a gym, for some guys, a run.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if they're away with work, I know some guys or clients of mine, they can run and just throw a set of trainers in
Yeah.
and get something done. But going on a bike ride, but it's just trying to keep,
Yeah.
and you don't want to have those weeks where it just, well, what have we done this week?
Yeah.
Not a lot, okay? And as soon as we have those really kind of negative weeks, things start to drop down. All right, so stay consistent, mix sessions up, try and get your mates involved as well. So if you can always get, for example, I do like a Wednesday night ride, and we go out for an
That's
hour
good.
blast.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in the diary.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go out on my own on a Wednesday night, that's the one that gets dumped. All right, so we want to try and have something consistent, get your mates involved, get in a group,
Mate rides.
get it done. Consistency is the key.
Yeah.
Simply, your best way to get fit, lose weight in the winter is long ride.
Oh, I do like a good long ride.
Okay, so out and about, the best way is thinking is trying to mix it up, have a good loop that's planned, or trail centre ride, but simply put, those long rides, and the key is to keeping it at a pace where you can have a good chat.
Yeah.
If we can still have a conversation, you're working aerobically, which means you're burning a lot of fat as a fuel source. You're going to be promoting your endurance, and these are the key to getting fit. Easier said than done in the winter though.
It is, yeah. I got an acronym for you.
Go on then.
TITS. Get you. I don't. It's not bad. It's time in the saddle.
Nice
TITS.
one. I like it.
Like it.
Time in the saddle, that's what we're talking about. Steady pace. And what we want to do is think about it, try and link up with some mates. Again, we're going to look at that motivation. If you've got a week, look ahead at the weather forecast. Right, that Sunday, we're all getting one big ride in.
Like it.
Head off somewhere good, a new route, somewhere new to ride, new trail centre, good calf.
Oh, I do like
And
it.
think about getting, a few hours in the saddle.
Yeah.
Trying to maybe even link it up. So instead of just riding consistently at one pace, you might ride the first hour with a lot of climbing. Second hour, you might go, okay, we're going to session some downhills. But it's just trying to get that big, long riding.
Like it.
All right. Right. That's the key for it. Another good one. I mean, I got one training client who does the first Friday every month.
Yeah.
They all take it off.
Okay.
And they all go for a big ride.
Oh, that's cool, that.
All right. But just trying to think of these ways which we can, again, it goes right back.
Yeah.
Motivation, consistency. But if you can get those long rides in, even if it's one a month, one every other week, come the spring, they'll be the ones that will get you through a big day out.
Right, we've got an hour to go, but I know a great calf.
Great calf. It's all about the calf, right?
Yeah, he's all about the calf.
Right, so next one we're going to look at, it's a really good little addition that you can add into all your normal rides. So you've got like a 1 or 2 hour mountain bike ride, and just to try and give it a bit of extra load, we're going to add some hips.
Hip,
All right.
hip, what, put your
So
hips
you've
in
already
first.
had your tits,
Oh, yeah.
your time in the saddle,
Yeah.
now we've got your hips, your high intensity peak sprints.
And that is going to help build those hips,
It's going to help build the hips.
or lose the hips.
So we've got, the way you can add them in is those little like slow corners.
Yeah.
You're coming in slow, instead of just kind of riding out 5, 6 hard pedal revs.
Okay.
And if you add those into all your little sprints and surges, out of every little corner during your ride, you end up with 20, 30 little efforts that you probably wouldn't have done. So something like this, when we come in, we're trying to gain a little speed, but it's got a little rise.
Yeah.
Keeping a harder gear, big bit of power, raises heart rate, muscles, calorie burn, and it's just going to give that a little addition to all the little rides.
Hips.
And the good thing is, because we're working that little bit harder on those cold winter days, it just will keep things a little warmer. Starts to use the upper body a bit as well. I know mountain biking, where it's not like a road ride where we're just sitting down all day.
Yeah.
We're still working the bike.
Yeah.
But just those higher sprints really gets the core and the upper body working a bit harder as well. So it's a cool little addition just to add in. Just make a real conscious effort that every slow corner, little
Power
5
out.
hard. Yeah, and we're just going to smash those out.
I like that. Power's my thing.
And yeah, for you, all about the power, right?
All about the hips. Man, I'm a sucker. Big long ride, big slab of cake. Now, I feel guilty just, eating this, but not really. Not.
Nothing.
Right.
After a long ride like we've just done, there's nothing wrong with a bit of cake.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good start point. Again, it goes back to that thing, when we first looked at it, motivation. So if we've had a nice long ride and that's the reward, happy days.
I'm going to be motivated to go for another ride.
Joking aside, it's a tough time in the winter to try and lose weight and eat healthy. It's easier said than done. We start the new year, New Year's resolutions. A lot of people focus on diet, and it's a tough time. Still, we're looking for comfort food. We're looking to come back and eat a load and sit on the sofa.
Yeah.
All right. So the most important thing with diet, without getting too complicated, is just think of a healthy, balanced diet most of the time. All right. So when we say healthy, balanced diet, as much fruit and vegetables as we can. Some slow burn carbs, so brown rice, brown bread, oats.
Oats, porridge in the morning.
All right, things like that just to set us up for the day. Yeah. Some lean protein, chicken, fish, eggs are good as well. And it's just trying to get a nice balance of healthy food most of the time. When I say most of the time, it's hard to keep it consistently. So it's good to maybe have a bit of a plan.
Yeah.
So we said before about consistently going out maybe for 5 hours on your bike a week. We could say, well, okay, I'm going to have a really healthy diet 5 days. So Monday to Friday.
Good diet.
Monday and Friday you can be right focused and be healthy and good. On the weekend, a bit more relaxed, and have a bit more fun.
It is Saturday, so
it is Saturday. We're all good. We're allowed. But that's a way of doing it, so it's not so heavy as if you try and do it 7 days a week all the time. The risk is you get grumpy, you have enough, and then you're not consistent with it. So be more realistic with your diet. Another good thing when we're thinking about diet is about fueling your ride. So it's making sure you never start a ride hungry. So if you're at your spin class, like you mentioned earlier, you might have had lunch at 1 o'clock. Spin class kicks off at 6.
You got to eat something.
You got to eat something. And it's a mistake a lot of people write, is they don't eat anything before because they think, well, I'm trying not to overeat because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
They finish the spin class at 7 and then they eat a lot.
Binge eat everything.
So we actually go, right, I want to fuel before I do it. 2 hours before your evening ride or your later day, you want to have a little snack. So you might have almost 2 sandwiches, maybe 12 and 4.
Yeah.
Before you then train at 6 o'clock and plan ahead a little bit. And it's just trying to stop that kind of binge eating with crisps and snacks and stuff, which will happen if you leave it too late.
It does.
All right. That's the key one. So if we think about healthier diet, fruit, veg, lean protein, trying to do it consistently. So pick your days and then fueling for your ride. And then a bit of cake if you do the ride.
And a bit of cake right now.
Right now.
Right now. Oh, nice, that is good. Good info.
So there you go, 5 tips on how to lose weight and gain fitness on your mountain bike, and we did get muddy.
This was definitely a winter ride.
We did get muddy. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Ollie, for giving us your tips and tricks on how to lose weight and get fit on our mountain bikes, because hell, we all want to get fit and go further. Welcome back, you beautiful people. Pretty tough times for us mountain bikers out there where we can't really venture out into the woods to have fun, work up a sweat and keep fit and hang around with our mates. But not all is lost. I'm in my back garden and I'm gonna give you a few tips on how to work up a different kind of sweat. Okay, I've got 6 different workouts that are pretty much gonna work out most of your body. But first, before we get into all these workouts, we need to stretch and warm up our body because it's super important to do so. Because if you don't, you're gonna pull a muscle. And who wants to sit indoors with a pulled muscle in these circumstances? Right, let's get warmed up. So my little warm-up consists of 5 arm circles forward and then 5 backwards. 10 squats, then 5 side step squats to stretch out the inner thigh. You want to do 5 on each side. 10 star jumps or more if you're feeling a little bit explosive. 10 torso twists. This is great to stretch out your back and your shoulders. Just look up to the sky. A few downward dogs to cobras. Great stretch. Right, that should do the trick. Let's move on to those 6 rad workouts. Right, now we're all warmed up and stretched out. Now it's time to do the first exercise. Now this one's my favorite one and it's my go-to one. It is the push-up, press-up, push-up, whatever you want to call it. But there's a few different ones that you can do, but we're just gonna stick with the standard one. And that is just get into the plank position onto the floor. Just like that. Now that press-up technique is a good one for your upper body muscles, where it builds your shoulders, your chest, your wings, which is just under your armpits, these muscles here, and the back of your arms is a good one for your upper body strength. Now you want to just concentrate on those techniques, because if you don't want to have a nice arched back. You don't want to have that. You want to have a nice straight back. Engage those core muscles, your bum, tuck it in, your core, you want to tense up, and just keep it nice and straight. And just concentrate on that technique, because the better the technique, the better you're going to work out those muscles. All right, let's move on to the next one. This next one, you want to grab yourself a pillow. This is the leg squat. Now you want to put this on the floor, just there like that. You want to go onto one leg. Stand on one leg, bend your knee from behind you, and you want to use your arms to counterbalance, to counterweight yourself when you go down. And you want to let your knee touch the pillow. You want to do this 5 to 10 times on each leg to get your reps. Now, if you struggle with this and you can't get your balance, then you can use a chair just to get your balance so you don't fall over. But you want to concentrate on that technique when you're doing the leg squat. The leg squat's a great one because it works all those big muscles in your legs, your hips, your hamstrings, your quadriceps, your gluteus maximus, your bum, and your calves, all key muscles you use in cycling. And you can just use your own body weight to build those muscles in your bedroom, your garden, in your living room, wherever. Okay, this next one's called the bicycle crunch. Now I put it in there because I use it and it says bicycle on the tin. And we all ride bikes, so it's a good exercise to do, and it basically works your core. Now, doing the correct way is you want to lie on your back, just like this. Get your knees up in a right angle above your hip. Then in sync, you want to go from right to left knee. So right elbow to left knee, and you crunch when you do it. When it comes to that bicycle crunch, you want to do it slowly, methodically, because you want to engage all those muscles. You don't want to do quick bursts because you're not going to get the right effect that you want. Now you want to do it slowly. You want to counteract by pushing out the opposite leg. So if you're going from right shoulder to left knee, you want to push out your right leg to straighten out, to bring yourself in, to crunch, to get the whole crunch in. Right, this next one's called push up to downward dog, and I'll explain in a minute, but I got this one from Ben at Fitness Factory on YouTube. He did this great workout for people that sit at your computers, and for some people like us, we're gonna sit indoors, we're gonna be on our computers working and struggling away, trying to get our work done at home. This one just helps build these muscles in a safer way. Now, you wanna get into the press up position, like this, engage that core, do a press up, and then go straight up into downward dog. Do it again. And back up. When doing the push-up to downward dog, you want to concentrate on that technique. You want to concentrate on that press-up technique. Go slow, don't go too fast and jolt it. And this is a great one because when you're pushing up into the downward dog, you want to push your bum as far up into the sky as possible, and you want to push the ground away as hard as possible. And that's going to engage all those back muscles, those upper back muscles, the ones that us dudes and dudettes do when we're sat at the computer, just like this. You want to do 10 reps, 5 to 10 reps on this. Right, this next one is the plank. Now we want to get some nice core workout on this one. You're going to get on the floor, get on your side, with your elbow in line with your shoulder. You want to have a nice straight body, head in a neutral position, and you want to hold this for 30 seconds if you can, or a minute. And you want to repeat that on the other side as well. But you can see you want to engage your bum. You want to have a solid stomach, solid bum. Keep it strong and stiff. You don't want to have an arc in your body. You want to keep straight as a plank. That's why it's called a plank. You want to keep straight. Do that on the other side. 30 seconds to a minute. This is my last little workout, number 6. This one's called VWT. Now this one I got again from Ben at Fitness Factory on his YouTube channel. Pretty cool one, and it is hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty hard. Now what you wanna do, the technique for this, is get onto your stomach, lie face down, put your arms out in the V situation, out in front of you, thumbs up, and you don't want to let your hands touch the floor. You want to hold it, so you want to engage your core muscles, you want to engage your stomach, your bum, so you don't drop your arms. Hold it there for 10 seconds. They go down to the W, and then you want to move to the T, and then back to V. Do that 10 seconds on each technique. That's hard. Do that. 5 reps of that within your whole workout that I've showed you to do. You're gonna work up a sweat. Okay, before we end this video, let's do a quick recap on all the exercise I've showed you. So you want to do 10 to 15 push-ups, then you want to do 5 to 10 leg squats. Don't forget to do the other side. 10 bicycle crunches, 10 push-up to downward dogs, 30 seconds to a minute, if you can, in the plank position. Then with the VWT, you want to do 10 seconds on each move, which adds up to 30 seconds. Trust me, it's pretty hard, especially when you want to do 5 to 10 reps and all of these exercises. So you start with a push-up, then you move your way down until the end, have a little break, and then do the whole thing again. You want to do that 5 to 10 times if you can. And if you are struggling with these moves, just relax. Don't do as many reps. Just do maybe half.
Training. It sounds a bit serious, and unlike our road riding compatriots, we as mountain bikers like to take a little bit more of a chilled look at things. Now, rather than finishing a ride and crunching numbers and seeing how many watts we were putting out, it's more about grabbing a beer and talking line choice. That's not to say we don't like to keep fit mind, but training can be a bit of a minefield. So in this video, we're going to look at some of the common mistakes made and hopefully how you can avoid them. Let's dive in then, and before you head for the gym and hit the weights or out onto the hill and do some sprints, take it steady. Think about a training plan. Now, not having a plan day by day or week by week can actually be detrimental to your performance. Having a look and making a plan, so looking at what you can do, when you can do it, and the intensity that you can sustain is a really good idea. If you just make up a plan that sort of sees you doing God knows how much, too much, stretching yourself really thin each week, then this is going to have a damage to you both physically and mentally. If you want to know more about how to make a good structured training plan, then I did a video for this not long ago. The description is actually in the link of this video. Let's talk goal setting then. Having something to aim for can be a really useful way of focusing the training that you're doing. If you don't set a goal, you can find yourself sort of aimlessly wandering from session to session, not really knowing what you're doing or where you're going with it. A goal can be anything from a personal fitness level to an event that you've got planned, but make sure it's something that's obtainable. Too often I hear someone with some crazy unobtainable goal that they just can't get to. There's no point saying, oh, this time next year I'm going to win a World Cup, when unfortunately, as much as I'd like to, it's not going to happen. Make your goals obtainable and something that you can really work towards. If you decide to delve into the world of training and making a plan up for yourself or getting someone to make one up for you, then make sure it's not going to be stretching yourself too thin and it's actually something that you want to do. Overtraining can have lots of side effects, and some of these are excessive fatigue, agitation and moodiness, insomnia or restless sleep, chronic or nagging injuries. These are just a few symptoms, and if you do feel any of them, then maybe it's time to rein it in just a little and take a break. Being specific. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, a lot of the time, if you ask someone, what are you training for? They'll be like, well, nothing in particular. So actually setting out that goal or target can really help you maximize what you get out of your sessions. Look at areas of weakness that you might have, be it fitness or skills based, and really try and target those. It could be something strength based then, so something like an arm workout. If you feel your arms getting tired on long descents or on long rides, then try focusing specifically on that. Having said that, if it's something skills based, you find like your cornering is a bit weak, then set up some cornering drills. Narrowing down those areas of weakness and really specifying what your plan is on those will stop you just going through the motions and getting stuck in a rut. Now for me, I think this one is the most important and potentially the biggest, and that is having fun. It's why we got into bikes in the first place, so we shouldn't lose sight of it. We all have a love and passion for mountain biking, and it sounds tough, but we should try and transfer that into training as well. If each session becomes some kind of sweat-filled journey of doom and gloom and you hate it, then it's probably time to mix it up. So make sure then that once you have your plan and it's something that you can stick to, it's not just full of the same old turbo training sessions and weight sessions and you're doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's not going to be fun and it's going to drive you mad. Get out there in the real world, get on the trails and enjoy it. A little top tip here is if you are getting a bit bored, rope in your friends, get them to come along for a training ride, and what will make you smile is seeing them suffer.
New year, new goals, and before I set anything too challenging, I want to start to feel a bit stronger so I can feel good on my bike again. And I'm going to get help from an expert to help me, but also give you some tips on how to get fit for riding your mountain bike. I normally just get a bit of turbo training, regular riding and some weight training, but it's all a bit sporadic. So this time I'm gonna get help from an expert, Johnny at Fit4 Racing, to hopefully give me a proper program and get me back fit. Johnny, how's it going?
I'm good, thanks Neil. You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks. I've called you up for some help basically. I've got a bit of motivation at the moment and I want to get back into feeling good on the bike. So I've got some basic equipment at home. And I want to do some decent strength and fitness to get the most back out of my riding. And hopefully, I was going to come to you for a bit of help, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm here for. So that's great that you've got some equipment to start with. But I guess ultimately, you're starting afresh, let's say. Have you had a heavy Christmas and New Year?
I would say so, yeah. I used to be fit. I'm one of those people that just sort of excuse my fitness all the time because I did used to be fit. And although I'm pretty active, I don't really watch what I eat and all that stuff. I also don't ride as much. And I've definitely had like peaks and troughs in motivation. But at the moment, I'm feeling good. Like I said, I've got a turbo. I've got my Wahoo trainer set up at home. And I've got some dumbbells, some free weights, and I've got just a bench that I do a bit of stuff with. And I feel like I want to get a bit of a routine and try and get some of that fitness back.
Great. Okay. So I guess it's very determined by how much time you can dedicate to it. And if you're like most people, it's probably an hour a day, maybe 5 days a week at a push, because you're going to want to ride at weekends, right? So if you can do 2 or 3 of the strength side of things and then a couple on the Wahoo trainer, you can balance that depending on the intensity of those sessions. So if they are shorter sessions because of time, then they can be more intense and you don't have to worry so much about the recovery. So for you then, I guess the question is, how much time can you dedicate to the training?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think an hour, I could definitely find an hour a day for those 5 days a week. So there's no reason why I can't do that.
And if your weight is less accessible at home, then things like unilateral movements, so single leg. So ultimately the principles are you want to get as heavy as you can at this stage. You're getting into it and you want a good strength foundation of basic movements before you add anything fancy or anything that might be too quick that might compromise your form. So get familiar with things like a bench press, or if you don't have a bench, a floor press is equally as good and can be safer because it restricts some of the range in your chest and shoulders to keep them healthy. Certainly lots of upper body pushing and pulling, seated or standing overhead presses. If you only have one dumbbell or kettlebell, that's fine, just swap. And then leg work, hips. So what we want from that is nothing so isolated. So pistol squats are fantastic. They take a little bit of work, but you said you have a bench that can be stable. If you can do a squat off the edge of the bench, you don't need a lot of weight for that to be very impactful on your strength gains at this stage. If that's difficult for you, you can do a simple air squat and hold as much weight, or a goblet squat. So you're holding the weight here and that'll be quite quad dominant. So you kind of structuring a workout that'll hit every body part. But if let's say you're going to train 3 times a week, you can have a focus area. So that focus area might be upper body on a Wednesday, or say quads and pushing lower body on a Monday, upper body Wednesday, and on the Friday, some hinging work. And ultimately, what you want to be is functional on the bike, things that are going to really reflect on your ability, not build you too heavy. You know, you're not a bodybuilder, you don't want to put weight on unnecessarily. It all needs to be functional and good power to weight ratio.
a lot of us, the cold, dark winter months are here, and sadly that can mean less riding time. But don't worry, it doesn't mean a drop in performance. No, today I've got some great gym workouts that we're going to go through and show you to keep you riding good. Right, it's not all about me today then. No, I have drafted in good friend, cyclist and bodybuilding extraordinaire back in the day. Carl can stand here. Oh, Stanza Fitness. Mate, thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Now, before we start lifting weights, we've got to get warmed up, right?
Absolutely, 100%. It's key.
So to the floor.
Right, guys, so what we're going to do first of all is just a dynamic stretch. So we're going to do world's greatest stretch, which will be us going down to the floor into a tall plank position. We want to stack our shoulders over the tops of our wrists, bring a leg up to the front, and then we're just going to drop down towards the floor and then rotate up to the ceiling. We're just going to repeat this for 10 on each side, and then just mirror it by switching over legs, push your hips towards the floor, changing arms, and then a little wave to Rich over there, and then back through.
Right.
Rich, let's see what you've got.
So go on, show me
Okay,
once
so
more.
into position, tall plank first of all, that's your starting place.
Oh, I remember
Bring your
the
leg
one.
up to the side. Try to push your hips towards the floor. That helps you get that stretch
And then we're
in
going
the
through,
thigh.
innit?
And we're going
That's
to
the
go
one.
down, up to the ceiling.
Hi, Carl.
Let's do it in time.
Oh.
Ready?
Hi, Carl.
Maximum points. Lovely.
Oh, it's a good one, Carl.
Yeah, that's why it's the world's greatest stretch.
Oh, it's a good one.
And once you've done that, we just want to then switch it over and just bring the other leg up. And then just come under.
Oh, we could almost hold hands.
Up to the top.
Come on, stretch.
Come on.
Ah, so close. And obviously stretching is hugely important, right? If you go
Absolutely.
straight into doing these weights without warming up,
Yeah. We
You're
want to
gonna-
look for doing a dynamic stretch, which is where you've got movement involved. You want to stay away from doing a static stretch. This is giving you an opportunity to warm up, open the body up, and just get engaged with your body before you do the next movements. Right, we're just going to go down to the floor and do the iron cross. So, lying down on your back, I want you to keep your shoulders in contact with the ground and put your knees together, and we're just going to rotate over to the floor, to the middle, to the floor. And when you're doing this, as you're rotating over, you just want to keep your shoulders pinned down, up to the middle, and then back over.
and core tight, right? You want your back
Absolutely.
shouldn't have an arch in it or nothing.
You may get slight flex in it. We're not trying to keep our back what we're trying to do is twist this way. We're
Right.
trying to move our body in different directions to prepare it for exercise.
Okay.
So by doing this, it's actually an occasion where we don't mind having a little bit of movement with a twist. So with this, you just want to look to get 10, 5 on each side, and then job done. Lovely. Okay. To warm up the lower body, we're just going to do some single glute bridges. So we're going to come leg up, just pop up. I just want you to do 10 of these on each leg. This is the working leg, the one that's on the floor. We're just going to drive our hips up to the ceiling, control back down, 10 on one side. And then you're just going to drop the other leg down, bring the other leg up, and then drive the hips again up to the ceiling. Just trying to get your lower body nice and warmed up for the exercises to come.
Okay, Carl.
Yes.
The warm-up is done, crucially important. So that can be done at home or at the gym. So if you are going to do these following workouts that we're going to do, a lot of them can be done at home with different variations. So you can still do these warm-ups at home. But first things first, let's kick things off with a classic, the squat. To the
That's a
squat
good
rack.
one. Yeah, absolutely. Over to the squat rack, please, Rich.
All right, Carl, tell me why this one's so good.
Okay, so Rich is going to be doing a squat. This is a staple for most mountain bikers for lower body strength. And that's it. We want to build strength up in the legs, which will help generate power and help you get more speed out of the bike. It's also going to help with your riding position when you're stacked over the top of the bike. Your legs are one of the key contact points. As you can see with Rich here, he's got the bar nicely pulled into his traps on the fleshy part of his neck. He's keeping his elbows pulled down. And with a depth, this is slightly different for everybody, but he's aiming to try getting his thighs parallel with the floor. Everyone's going to be slightly different, but that's a good rule of thumb. As you come up, you want to keep soft knees.
You don't want to be like...
With this, yeah, we're trying to basically pull our knees away like that and then sit our body in between our thighs. That will then create tension in the glutes and also stabilize the pelvis and help you with a nice strong movement as you descend, and then as you push the floor away, you'll go up. And you won't get this caving in of the knees. So just try to think, as you're going down, you're pulling your knees away ever so slightly and dropping down. But that's tidy what you're doing there, and it's a good tempo. Tempo-wise, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that'll help with your speed as well when you're going up and down.
Banging. Well, from that, let's move on to the deadlift, shall we?
This is another big one. So the difference between a squat and a deadlift is the squat is an up and down movement, and the deadlift is a hinging movement where your hips are going to the back of the room and then pushing forwards. What we quite often see when people are deadlifting is that they squat down to the bar, the knees go over the top of the bar, and it makes it quite an awkward movement.
Okay.
So with this, what you want to do is, as you have the bar, step up to the bar, have your shins close. Put your feet a distance where you would jump in the air as high as you can do. So if I was jumping in the air, I'm standing about here, because that will give me the most amount of power to go up.
Gotcha.
So if you're too wide, it's going to have a negative effect. So looking at my stance, nice and narrow there, slight bend in the knees, and then I'm just going to push my hips to the back of the room as my chest then goes down to the floor. As you can see here, I'm quite far away from the bar, so then I've just got to drop from my knees a couple of inches, and then I'm in the position. From here, what I want to do is bend the bar so that tightens my upper back, and then I'm just going to push the floor away and then snap my hips forwards. And if you watch this, a lot of the movement is coming from the hips, going back and forwards, and then just a small movement from the knees. Not a movement where I go down to the bar here and then squat it up and down like that. That's an incorrect
That's
position.
what I was guilty of, right?
You were guilty.
No, okay, right.
So get a bit
Shins
closer.
to the bar.
Shins to the bar, so that's the centre of gravity. Keep the bar over the top of the knot in your shoelaces.
Hinged over.
Get your arms a little bit closer so they're just on the outside of your thighs.
Gotcha.
Lovely, and that's it. From there, you'll push your hips forwards and chest comes up. Much better, mate. Well done. Lovely. Okay. And when you're at the top, you just want to follow the same path back down. So your hips will go back, slight bend in the knees, to the floor, reset, and then up. And if you try to bend the bar, that's going to help create tension in this upper part of your back.
Oh, I see, like pulling your shoulder blades in.
Here, if you've got the bar, imagine you're rotating your elbows that way and tightens it.
I mean, I
tightens
could
your
bend
upper
this
back.
bar if I wanted.
You are so strong. It does scare me, actually.
Okay.
Lovely. That's much neater, mate. Not to have pulled you apart, but that was not a deadlift.
Do you know what? It's fair. And again, we should say, like, the whole knocky knees thing, you want to be careful, your knees don't bow in, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the stance is really important. When we're here, we're trying to start from the bottom with the squat and the deadlift. Start from the bottom, solid tree trunk, and then work your way up. So, starting from the feet, you're just trying to get nice and planted, spread your toes out into your shoes, into the floor if you're barefoot. And then as we're here, we're working up the body, like I say, by getting nice and tight. You don't want to just come up to the bar, just be all loose and not have tension throughout your body and just rip it up, because something's going to happen and it's going to likely be an injury. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, nice. And these obviously first two, exercises here, great for the legs. Obviously, we all know that power and cycling, mountain biking is really important. Getting those sprints in, and these two exercises, which can be adapted to be done at home. You could do it with a weight in each hand or something like that. It's a little bit different, obviously, but...
Yeah, I mean, I would say deadlifts as well, although they do tap into a lot of lower body strength, there's also the posterior chain that they're working, which is the backside of my body. And when we're hinged over on a mountain bike, we're here. And on a long ride, or when it's quite aggressive, this is tough on your back. So by doing these exercises, it's helping strengthen your posterior chain, this whole area here, to help you maintain good posture on a bike. So when you're getting a little bit loose and you're getting a bit tired, it helps you maintain a good position so that you can ride safely and fun.
Nice. All right, well, let's rest the legs for a moment and do something on the upper body.
Sounds good.
Okay, Carl, next up, we're going to do bench press. We're going to be working the old upper body. I'm going to rep away, and you're going to wrap away. I'm a wordsmith.
Right, let's watch. Okay, so bench press, now moving on to the upper body. This is hugely important for holding onto the bike, upper body strength. So when it's getting rough and ready, you can hold yourself into a nice position and hold on to the bars with confidence. Rich here's got nice technique. He's gently going down with a 1, 2, 3 tempo, and then back up with a 1, 2, 3 tempo, allowing a slight bend in the elbows so that we're not bringing the elbows up and coming too much into the shoulders and the traps. As he's coming down, the bar is coming just below his pec here, and then driving it back up. Whoosh! Easy money.
What are the sort of, should we say, the pitfalls to look out for on that one, mate? What should people not be doing, should we say?
So can I just jump in there, because it's quite easy to, it's easier to describe it. So when we're here, one of the pitfalls are that when people take the bar off the bench, they end up coming really high up their neck, and it's all in the shoulders, and then they complain when they're bench pressing, they get problems with their shoulders. So what I want you to do is, you try to bend the bar similar to like you do with the deadlift, and then you just bring the bar just slightly below the chest there, and then back up.
So it should be sort of just coming down towards your sternum, basically?
Part of your, the lower part of your pec just there.
Okay.
Also with this, feet. At the moment, I've got no stability in my lower body, so what I want to do is bring my feet underneath, get up onto my toes, and then just push myself up ever so slightly towards the back of the wall here where the bar is.
Okay.
And that will help give me stability with a slight arc in my back. This is the one occasion in the gym you can actually bend your back. It's actually not a bad thing.
Okay, mate.
So by doing this, this creates tension in your upper body, allows me to be nice and stable, and then push up with power.
You did well, mate. I never seen you lift that much, so nice one.
Thanks, Rich.
Press-ups then, Carl. Not necessarily gym specific, but really good for your upper body. I'm gonna bash out a press-up, and then we're gonna do an advanced version, which actually you kind of need some apparatus for, not necessarily from a gym, but you'll need something. So I'm gonna do a press-up, you're gonna tell us why.
Yeah, let's go for it. This is very similar to the bench press, really. We're working on upper body strength and power. It's gonna help with your stability and your posture when you're in position holding onto the mountain bike. So Rich is doing a lovely push-up here. Nice straight line from shoulders down to his feet. He's allowing his elbows as well to come at a 45-degree angle and just travel slightly backwards. Same as on the bench press, if you turn your elbows out like this and flare them up, you end up putting everything into the shoulders, into the traps. So a lovely demonstrated push-up there, Rich.
Nice.
Very nice.
Let's take that to the next level then. So
absolutely.
If you've got press-ups in your arsenal already, let's make them harder.
So what we've got here is a plyo push-up. So it just has an element of explosiveness in it, and we're going to use 2 plates. You can use Reebok decks, anything that can just be elevated off the floor. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. So what we're going to get Rich to do is come down to the floor in the same position. And now what we're going to do is generate lots of speed from the bottom part of the movement, up, and then onto the plates. Back down, and then up. So we've got a nice slow movement on the way down, and then we're generating all the power on the way up. And this is just a progression for your push-ups.
So that's merely, so we're looking more here at that power on the way up. The way down is almost the rest part of the movement.
On the way down, you are working when you're under load. It's the eccentric part of it. But on the way up, we're just trying to generate lots of power as you're pushing yourself away from the floor. So creating a bit of speed, so slowly down, and then fast up.
Oh, that's considerably harder.
You have to kind of have a bit of confidence with it.
Can I put them a bit further apart?
Yes, you can do. Yeah, you're bigger than I am.
A little more broad shoulders, should we say? Yeah. Okay, so we're here.
And allow your elbows still to track back, the same as you did on your normal push-up.
Okay, so slowly down.
Slowly down, and then fast up. That's it, Rich.
And then do you step back down?
Yeah, you can step back down.
Or is it like a...
No, well, that would be a progression. But with that, at the moment, we'll just go one step at a time moving forward. Rich is running here, sprinting. So up. That's it, and then steady down. And I find numbers with this in and around about 6 to 12. Yeah, it's that explosiveness. It's helping us hold onto the bike and have a solid grip when anything's coming your way. Pumping, pushing through things. This explosiveness is really useful and transferable to when you're on the mountain bike.
And I noticed when I went a little bit ahead of myself there, the back starts to arch a little bit. So if you feel your back starting to bow a little bit.
Absolutely.
Take it back a notch, right?
Yeah, you want to have a nice straight line with the body, and you don't, whenever you're push-up in, if it starts to look like this, you're coming up.
Yeah.
The
old worm. You're doing the worm down there, buddy.
That's your dance floor moves. You're losing integrity in the movement. We want to keep a nice straight line from head to toe.
Cool. Solid. Right, upper body gains. Let's look. Core.
Beauty.
Core, blimey.
Right, Rich. This is a plank pull through. So we're going to go into a tall plank position. You've got your shoulders stacked above your wrists. And then as Rich is, you're just gently pulling the dumbbell, can be a kettlebell as well, across your body. Don't pull it too far because you'll have further to reach. It's just from one side to the other. With Rich's setup, he's quite narrow with his hands and then wide with his feet. What you're not looking for is your hips to pop up. That's not okay. And then rotating too much. Exactly. As Rich is doing, he's keeping nice and stable. This is transferable to mountain biking because you're on, again, your hands and your contact point, your feet, and you're working your core. And in these tricky positions, it's helping you build up the strength to stay on your bike and stay solid.
To make that harder, if I'd pulled or pushed or pulled, whatever you want to call it, the weight further through, that makes it harder, right?
100%.
So that's how you could adapt it.
The further you go, that's going to make it more difficult, or you just increase the load. So essentially, if you've got like a 14 kg dumbbell, which is quite heavy, that's decent going, Rich, you would just add more load onto it.
Okay, nice. And yeah, I did notice as I pushed or pulled it through further, I then had to reach further to get it, trying to hold more stability.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Work, Rich.
Great core workout there. Let's do another core workout, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where you do need a gym and the gym equipment. You can get these and have them at home, but it's useful to have a gym setup. It makes it a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is a Palloff press.
What, sorry? Say that again.
Palloff press.
Palloff?
Palloff.
Palloff.
So we're going to start from our feet. Again, like most of the exercises, work from the bottom up. We're going to have soft knees, tuck your pelvis under, squeeze your glutes. Bring the band across, keep your elbows tucked in, rib cage down, and we're going to push across and then back. This band is creating instability, which you have loads when you're riding over different terrain. It makes it very difficult, and so what we're trying to do is increase our strength when we're in an unstable environment. So back and forth like this, and then once you've done a certain rep range, twist around, Rich, and you'll come back and marry it the other side. All right,
let's give her a whirl.
So we're going to go for the Palloff press.
And it sort of just go through this week. So like tension when it's across.
Sure. So
I don't want to be like fighting it, right?
Absolutely. Step across a bit more. Let's give you a bit of a challenge. Slight bend in the knees and then tuck your pelvis under so you squeeze your glutes.
Gotcha. And then
stand up a bit tall because you're bending from your knees. That's it there.
Yeah. And
when I say rib cage down, it's down and your abs just compressed together, elbows tucked in, and we're just going to push forwards.
Yeah, I can feel I'm having to like tighten my core because otherwise I'd be like
pulling over. That band with the load over there is wanting to take Rich that way.
Yeah, definitely.
So he's just trying to stay in a nice straight line, and it's a steady tempo. It's not rushed.
And what? So I'm just basically sort of going sternum again, level out.
So we're just going to come to the chest, and we're going to push out. Not too high though, so we want it to come down just a little bit.
You're real small.
See what I've got to work with? To here. Lovely, that's nice.
I'll see you on the other side, mate.
And then flipping it around.
About there?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Nice.
Excellent. And if you want a progression, which Rich might do because he's a pro, you can add one of these plates over the top of the band.
Hang on.
Let's have your fingers.
What?
Okay, hold on to it for me.
What, through there like that?
Now hold on to it as you were with your hands. Let go of that. Okay, so what we're going to do, as I was saying, we're trying to increase the instability and make it more difficult. So, Rich, as you start doing this, please, we're just going to give it a little bit of a bounce, and that's wanting to pull him all over the place. So his core is working overtime, trying to stay in position. So, as the annoying friend, I'm just going to give it a little nudge.
I can really feel that's really good. I can really feel it, especially trying to.
So you're locking down, you're trying to keep this in the same position. And on a long ride,
so much harder.
Trying to have this position is actually quite difficult, especially when you're starting to fatigue. So if we can build up in the gym endurance doing this, it's going to help for those rides.
As soon as you started bouncing that, I was like, welcome.
There you go. That's what I'm here for.
Good one, right.
Lovely.
That's next exercise. Here, son, I hear it's time for one of the farmer's carries, isn't it?
It is a farmer's carry.
All right, what are we doing here?
We're in the right place for this. Okay, so we've got a farmer's carry, which is quite a straightforward exercise in terms of what we need. Kettlebells or dumbbells, and we're loading Rich up. He's going to keep his arms long. He's not going to shrug up into his traps just there. That's not the idea. And just have a steady walk to the end of the track. It's a heel to toe action. Try not to wobble and move side to side too much. If he is doing that, the load is too much. So it's just steady. With this, what we're doing is building overall strength and also grip strength, which, as you can imagine on a mountain bike, is pretty important.
How are we looking, buddy?
You're looking good, Rich. Go down to the bottom, and then if you can turn back around and give us a smile. There.
All right, I tell you what, walk with me, Carl, walk with me. So we're doing a weight on each side, but we could do a kettlebell on each, like singular, right?
Let me just take this off you, and now you are doing a briefcase carry.
Okay,
so with this, Rich's body's going to be getting pulled to the left, and he's just trying to keep himself upright and neutral, which is working one side of the body a little bit more predominantly than when you're carrying two. So you would do, say, less 10 meters one way in one hand, and then switch it over and 10 on the other side. With this, when you've got a weight on one side over the other, I just don't want to see you walking like this. It's got to be upright, otherwise the weight is too heavy.
And we should say, there are advantages to doing a briefcase carry over a farmer's carry, right? Because obviously you're working each side almost independently, it just takes longer to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a little bit longer, but also we should break the body down into single body parts as well. You don't always have to train both your legs at the same time. You can do a lunge, so it's one side over the other.
Yeah.
And it just sometimes helps us concentrate. So if I'm focusing on just this side, I know it's just that side that I can concentrate, and it just makes it a little bit easier in terms of building that connection with the body. But it is a different stimulus, so they are slightly different exercises, but with the same kit.
So I want to carry on that point quickly, because you raise a good point, how you can isolate one side or one leg. This is obviously really good if you're coming back from an injury or something like that. So if you bust up a leg, a knee or whatever, and you need to work out that particular leg, you can isolate that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to get injuries as mountain bikers. It's going to be a given. So it might be a case that we've got a lower back pain or something on one particular leg, and we do have to isolate it. So where we are showing you things where you do both hands or both legs at the same time, there's quite often a single body parted movement variation or regression.
Cool. Grip strength, go! I want to push a sled around.
Right.
Right, Carl, you look comfortable. Why?
I'm well happy here. So what we're going to do now is the sledge. It's typically something that we might do towards the end of a session. It's very good for your lower body strength and power, and also a bit of upper body as well. So with this, it's trying to move the sledge at a steady pace down to the bottom of the track. You want to get down nice and low, as Rich is here. Let's mirror each other. Down nice and low, bring your shoulders in, and it's similar to a scrum position. And with this, we're just driving backwards. If I come up too much and drive, my power's going up there. So you want to keep down nice and low.
Instead of lifting it, you want to be driving.
Absolutely, nice and low just there.
Hop aboard then,
So I'm going to be the load. Rich is going to just gently push me down. And with this, we're going to get the heart rate up a little bit.
You're so lazy.
I am a little bit. And like I say, this is building strength and power in the lower body, and also as well with the core and upper body there. It's a very good all-round finisher to do when you've done your session.
And what sort of reps should we be doing on this, mate? What sort of distance?
I think it's going to need to be in and around 40 metres, Rich. So if you can go to the other side, please.
40 metres? How far is this? Is that 10?
This is 5 metres.
Get on, that's 5 metres.
He's just making such a meal of it all.
40 metres.
So keep those knees pulling up high and a big stride. That's it.
Oh, I nearly run over a rower.
Watch out. He hasn't got a licence for this. Lethal. Job done. Good, Rich. Excellent.
I tell you, that is a workout. Cardio-wise, that's one of the hardest ones as well.
Yeah, we don't always need to jump on a bike, ski erg or anything like that to get our heart rate up. This sledge is a really good tick box exercise for lots of different parts of your body, getting your heart rate up and building strength and power. So it can be used quite frequently, and I think also it just mixes up your training. It can be quite kind of boring just going on to a bit of cardio kit when you've got something like this that you can just train and have a bit of fun on as well.
Definitely. Okay, let's quickly, I want an overview. Like, what sort of reps and sets should people be doing?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it real simple for you. Typically for us guys when we're mountain biking, we just need to go round about 6 to 12 reps. And I think between 3 and 4 sets is fine. And with our training, if we look at doing around about 2 to 3 sessions a week, that's more than enough.
Weight-wise?
Weight-wise, I would log your weights. Just keep a log of your heaviest weight and the amount of reps that you do, and then just see how you get on coming back to it the following week. We're looking to progressively overload, but we don't have to do that all the time. Right. It could be by doing more sets and more reps. But just to keep it simple, just make us a rough, because we've only picked some major exercises here.
Yeah, too right.
Just keep a rough note in your notes, just jot something down and just figure out what's right for you, because what I may lift might be different to you.
Yeah, you can't lift my weights.
Well, you can't ride like I can.
Bants.
It's case dependent, and you should always start out light, get a feel for it, and then build yourself up as your technique and your confidence improves.
And do you know what I'd say is, like, if you are brand new to the gym, don't even bother putting weights on.
No.
Like,
you can lift with a barbell.
Yeah, fine. Just use the bar. So get the technique. It's really important, isn't it, to get the technique right before you
don't
start
just
go
do a black run without scouting it out. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of things that we can do in here where it can go wrong. So either ask a professional and just think, about being patient with it. You've got time to build it up, and if you're new to it, you've got loads of time, and you still will see progression even in your first few sessions from when you start out. Just be patient.
Cool down?
Cool down, yeah. Typically with a cool down, what we want to do is just find a little bit of space. So Rich, if you just come this way with me.
Follow us.
Follow us.
Oh, I like that pushing one.
It's all right.
The sled.
I would get you doing that if you asked me to write you something. So I think it's
That's why I don't ask you, mate.
No, I know. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go into a child's pose. So we're going to go hands out in front of us, and we're just going to go wide with our knees. Just gently push your hips back and head down to the floor.
Yeah.
You're a bit creaky. And what I want you to do is to take in a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then just gently breathe out. When you hold your breath, it makes the stretch much harder to achieve. And if you need to progress it, we're just going to go up onto our fingertips. Ooh. And then just push your chest down towards the floor, and you'll feel a bigger stretch in your back.
Yeah, I see.
Once you've done that for about 10 seconds, what I want you to do is walk your hands over to one side, and then we're just going to bring your other arm over to the side, and then just repeat. So just taking a deep breath, gently exhale.
Okay.
And if you need to make it more difficult, again, just pop up onto your hand and then push your face towards the floor.
Oh, I see what you mean. And then what, walk the other way?
And then we'll just go middle, and then over to the other side. And then just push again, hips going back to the room, and then face towards the floor. And then 10 seconds.
Nice. And I want a quick question, because I've always wondered this after exercise, static stretching after exercise.
It's very case dependent, but I would say with what we're doing, a gentle cool down to let your heart rate go down, and just stretch in this position like this would be sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need, it's not a mandatory thing that you have to do static stretches afterwards.
Nice.
Definitely don't do them before the session when you're warming up. I don't think you should do it if you're going out cycling and doing static stretches either. Do a mobile movement that's dynamic.
How to ride for a long time or for long distances is genuinely a question I get asked all the time. So today, I thought I'd answer it for you. There's a little more to riding long distances than just heading out for ages, especially if you want it to be a successful ride, let alone a comfy one. Riding for longer isn't just a case of going out and smashing it. There's a few things you can do beforehand to make your ride a winner. So before we go off charging into the distance, we do need to warm up. If you don't warm up, you're going to potentially cause yourself some kind of serious injury, or you're going to underperform. Think of your body as a bit of an engine. It needs to warm up them glow plugs if it's a diesel, and then you can get it going. The muscles in your body as well, like an elastic band, if you go out into the cold and suddenly pull them apart, they're more than likely going to damage or snap, and we definitely don't want that. You need to ease them in, you need to warm them up. Warming up is also going to increase blood flow and oxygenated blood around the body, so it's really ready to perform at its absolute best. So when it comes to a warm-up, then I'd certainly recommend doing some dynamic stretching before you head out onto your ride, and also ease into your ride. Don't just go out the gate full gas, which I will be honest, I'll throw my hands up, I've been guilty of in the past, but try and ease into that first few K or first few miles, whatever you do, just to get the body going and get it ready for then carrying on even further. Let's talk fueling now. So what you put in your body, both before, during and after, will make a monstrous difference to whether you're successful on your ride and completing it, or whether you bonk and have the worst time of your life. No exaggeration either. Now I'm going to use a bit of a motocross analogy here. In my motocross bike, it runs on premium unleaded. Now it runs on that because it runs the smoothest and it runs the most efficiently and easiest. So it's designed around using that fuel, and your body is the same. If I was to put the wrong stuff into my bike, if I put diesel in it or something like that, it ain't going to run very smooth, if at all, sadly. And our bodies are exactly the same. If we fill it up full of fast food, greasy food, or just food that's not really going to agree with us before a ride, we're not going to get very far before those disagreements catch up on us. So from experience, you need to be eating something quite carb heavy before your ride. Things like rice and pastas are going to be really helpful here, although be careful not to get too greedy, because although they're good for you and they're going to help release energy over a long amount of time, too much is still going to make you feel bloated, make you feel very full, and it's still going to sit there in your stomach. Morning of then, you want a solid low-fat breakfast. Things like overnight oats or porridge are going to be great here. Try to avoid anything too fatty, too greasy that's going to sit there. Things like a full English could go right through you and might end up pooing on a path, and you don't want that. During the ride, little and often is key here. So you look to consume carbs roughly 30 to 45 minutes, or every 30 to 45 minutes. This is going to help keep the dreaded bonk at bay. Obviously, this can be very hard to do depending upon what you're riding, but do your best. Now, what I would say here is energy gels, obviously, as the name suggests, are full of the good stuff that you need, but proper food is essential. Anything from bananas, flapjacks, heck, I've even known to have a bit of quiche squirreled away in my back pocket. Proper sustenance is going to be crucial at keeping your sort of stomach right as well. Things like energy, high on sugar, electrolytes, all sorts of other bits and bobs that are in them can play an absolute havoc on your stomach, and you might revisit that scenario we said about earlier. Hydration, crucial for rides as well. Now, this can vary hugely depending upon the type of ride that you're doing and the conditions and climate that you're doing it in. Obviously, the hotter the conditions, the dusty, dry conditions as well, are going to increase the amount of fluid that you're going to need to take on. What I would recommend here is a minimum of 500 ml every hour, preferably with some kind of electrolyte tab in there as well. That's going to help replace all your things like minerals, salts, vitamins as well as give you a bit of carb and some boost in there too. If you know that you're someone that does drink a lot of fluid, then a hydration pack could come in here, like a Camelback, a really good backpack where you can put a nice big bladder in the back and take a lot. Otherwise, at least 2 bottles on the bike. I'll always look to take as much fluid as I can, just in case. You never want to get caught out because it can really put you in the red if you haven't got enough fluid on you. Plan your route as well around potential water stops. If there is obviously none, you then need to plan your water around your ride, if that makes sense. So if you're doing a really long ride, you can't fill up. A bike where you can fit 2 water bottles on is always going to be really good, if you can, of course. Or if not, fit the largest water bottle you can, or a backpack, like I said. Or if there are certain shops or places you can fill up, plan your ride around that, and that's really going to pay dividends in the long run. Oh my God. I don't think I can actually not go. Rich! Don't be like this, Skylar. A strong mindset is crucial to making it through certainly the really, really long types of ride. But look, we all have our own mental battle. So whether it is, like I said, 10 or 100K, having a good, solid mindset is going to be crucial to getting you through that long, tough times, especially if you hit what's called the wall. You get to a point where you just think you cannot go on any further. This is often met in really tough circumstances. You need that strong mental mindset and strong sort of mental kind of positive enforcement that you can do it, and I know you can do it, to keep you going through. Don't end up like Rich here. Oh my God, what a state. Your bike and your kit have got to fit you properly. If they don't, you're going to get uncomfortable pretty quickly and tired, well, even quicker. A poorly fitting bike is going to put extra pain and strain on your muscles and joints. Now, the most common one that I see all the time is incorrect seat height. If your saddle is too low, it's going to cause a world of pain for you. Essentially, you're going to be too crunched up. So a couple of things are going to happen here. You're going to cause extra sort of inflammation and pain and discomfort around the joints, but you're also not going to be able to get the power down. You're not going to be as efficient because you're going to be trying to work from a much more crunched up position rather than a much more sort of stretched out position. When you are doing your saddle height, your legs should never be fully locked out. You should always have, at the most extended part of the pedal stroke, should we say, still a very slight bend in the knee. You should never fully lock out. Other things to look out for then. So saddle height is crucial, but also saddle position. So fore and aft and tilt, bar roll, bar length, or bar width, I should say, stem length, stem height, so your stack height there as well. These are all going to play a crucial part in just how comfortable your bike setup is gonna be. Now, we could dive into this a lot, like there's a lot to talk about there, but I have done a video in the past where I've gone through a full bike fit and setup, so I'll link that in the description down below. So head there, click that for a real detailed look at just how to set your bike up. Okay, remember, it's not just your bike that's got to be fit and functionable as well, your clothing and kit does too. There's no point heading out on a day like today in jeans, t-shirt and a hoodie because you're gonna freeze to death. I know bike kit can add up in cost, so it's quite tricky to just suddenly go out and buy it, but you'll sort of end up accruing it over time. But you know, today is cold, I'm wearing gloves, and that doesn't happen very often. I've got base layers on to try and keep me warm, and I've got a good wind/waterproof coat as well, which is gonna mean I can actually stay out longer because I'm gonna be more comfortable. I'm not gonna freeze to death straight away, so I can get a nice big ride in. Okay, this next one's crucial. It's pacing, and it's actually the one I find the toughest. So if you're a super competitive person, much like I am unfortunately, then just blasting out the gate full tilt straight away is a very hard thing to resist. But harping back to a warm-up as well, it's crucial that you don't do that. If you're new to long distance riding, try to find a pace that you can sustain for the entirety of the ride. However, if you finish the ride and you feel pretty fresh, that's no bad thing, don't worry. It just means that maybe you could go a little harder next time, but it means you'll get a gauge of just what you're capable of, and then you can up it when you do that future rides. If you're fit as a fiddle mind, or you're very used to long times or long distances in the saddle, well then you're gonna have a pretty good gauge of what you are able to do and how long you can do it. So what I'd recommend for a lot of people here is upgrade. Use metrics, so numbers, to gauge just the effort that you're putting out. Things like heart rate are a great way of knowing exactly what kind of stresses and strains your body's under. Power is the most accurate way of gauging exactly how much effort you're putting in. It's the most truest numbers because there's no other factors that really affect it. It's literally just the amount of power you're putting out through the pedals, cranks, whatever kind of device you're using to measure that. However, they aren't cheap, so it's a bit of investment. You've got to be serious if you're going to go down the route of getting a power meter. Once you've got these metrics and numbers, your maximals, doing a little fitness test here can sort of help you find out what you're maximally capable of. You can then work to zones. So zones work from 1 through till 6, and operating within these zones, 1 being the easiest, 6 being the absolute hardest, you know what's going to be sustainable for a long period of time. So there we have it then, some of my top tips, tricks and little pointers along the way as to how to sort of survive those longer rides and longer distances.
For me, the winter conjures up images of dark nights, short days and persistent bad weather. So trying to keep fit, healthy and active is always a tricky one.
Well, for a lot of us, to keep our fitness levels topped up and our bike fix satisfied, we'll turn to training indoors. And that's going to mean using a turbo trainer. But is indoor training actually going to make you fitter? And where should you even start? Well then, thanks to Garmin, they've sent me through this, the brand new Tacx Neo 3M Smart Trainer. So using this combined with the Tacx training app, I'm going to follow one of their training plans for the next 5 weeks to hopefully get me fitter, faster and race ready. So let's get unpacking. Garmin say the setup of this new device is so easy, it will literally take no time at all. So let's get building. The Tacx Neo 3M is Garmin's latest indoor smart trainer, a direct drive device that can be configured so that almost any bike will fit it. With a built-in cassette, motion plates to help reduce fatigue built in as standard over the previous Neo 2, and increased power accuracy, this should be just the thing I need to get race ready. Stop the clock, that literally took no time at all. Straight out of the box, it's ready to go. Now this comes set up with an 11-speed cassette on it and a 142 through axle. So I am going to have to make a few more alterations to get it ready for my cross-country bike to go on it by making it 148 and a 12-speed, but luckily you can change all the spacers necessary for that and the free hub body as well. So let's do that, Mo. And there it is, ready and raring to go, exactly set up for my bike. And that took about the same time as it did to unbox the thing in the first place. So with that, it's almost time to get riding, but I think we can make this setup a little bit more legit for my next 5-week training plan. Perfect, right. I'm gonna need something for the sweat. Ideal. Now lastly, I think we're gonna need a bike. Perfect, just what I need. Now, before I hop on the bike, what are the perks of owning an indoor trainer and why should you even consider buying one? I mean, we see all the pros on it, but can it actually benefit us mere mortals? In short, I'd say yes. If you're looking to get into a more structured training or elevate your current training, then a turbo is a fantastic idea, and you can do it somewhere like my garage. It's warm, controlled, and nice and comfortable to do it in. On top of that as well, that your training can be specific to yourself, it can be monitored, and it can be a lot more beneficial because it will focus on exactly the kind of training you need to do. You might be asking yourself, and is indoor training or using a turbo even for me? I see roadies doing it all the time, but what about me as a mountain biker? Well, actually, turbo training or indoor training as a whole can have a huge benefit to your riding. As I mentioned earlier, the ability to tailor and monitor your riding can have a massive positive impact. So the ability to be able to narrow down and single out any areas of weakness in that controlled environment is going to play huge dividends in the long run. I'm going to use myself as a practical example here. So getting out for a good ride now and again isn't too much of an issue to me. So baseline fitness is always pretty good, shall we say. However, sort of structured top-end power and sort of prolonged intervals aren't really something I'm ever thinking about when I'm out riding because, well, I'm normally just too stoked to be out riding, so don't really think about the effort or the training I'm doing. Because of that then, that's where a turbo plays perfectly for myself, because it means I can focus on those areas without getting too carried away. And using a dedicated plan is even better, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Mountain biking, it's also a really explosive sport. So recreating that out on a normal ride with friends or narrowing down on that kind of area specifically can be really tricky. There's also tons of variables, ground, weather conditions, bike wear and tear, all sorts that can really affect it. So hopping on that controlled bike, I know I've harped on about that a little bit, but it really does make a difference. It means that your results can be measurable and compared to in the future because the conditions will always be the same. It's now time to sync the trainer to my phone, get training and riding, and choose my plan. For myself, I'm going to use the Tax training app as part of their overall ecosystem. So it ties in nicely with their trainer, my head unit, and even watch if you wanted to go all out. Plus, on top of that, it has a large amount of training rides and plans to choose from, ensuring I can get the exact one I need. With the Old Pueblo just months away, I found a real good training plan that's about 5 weeks long, 3 to 5 sessions per week of medium intensity to build up my endurance, which should be perfect to build on what I already have. On top of that, I can look at what's coming up on the app so I know and can kind of plan life around it, because I know with a lot of us out there, we have busy lives these days. It's hard to fit in. And then once I've done the sessions, I can go back to the app and look at my results as well. So with that then, let's get going. Week number 1 then. And for us to find out if this is actually going to work, I'm gonna have to find out just how fit I am. Now, luckily this training program I've selected has a fitness test at the beginning of it. So we're off to do that, find out where we are now, and we'll check back in where we are at the very end. For the first test then, we've gone all out. Have a look at this. So then, as I begin my FTP test to kind of find out where my current fitness levels are at, it's not going to be fun. I've done a lot of these and I'm going to get very sweaty. So in the meantime, what is an FTP test and why should you really do one?
FTP, or functional threshold power, is a measure of power in watts that a rider can sustain over a long period of time. An FTP test is a great thing to do as it gives you a solid metric of just how fit you are, and once you've got your result, can be used to help set training zones and be used as a reference point in the future to see if you've got fitter.
Oh my God. I hate FTP tests. But from the numbers, we're not too bad. So we come in at 297, which is a little bit below what it used to be. That's 279 watts. So it's a good benchmark. Hopefully I can improve on that, certainly not get any lower. I'm gonna go get my breath back. We've got 5 weeks ahead of us now. Let's get this done. Oh my God. Oh. Right, I'm having to wear a hoodie. It's January and it's flipping Baltic out. Proper minus temperatures, so
Yeah, needs must. I don't even need a fan going. Now you might be wondering why I chose the program that I did. Basically what it's going to do is help build up a good solid endurance base, and some good long rides in this plan with some sort of fairly high tempo work as well for prolonged periods, which is really going to hopefully bump up my FTP. Gotta go. Week 2. Still got the rig set up looking beautiful. Training plan only ramps up now. Let's get some more lights going on here. I'm feeling it a little after the first week, I'll be honest. I haven't sort of done that much structured training in a little while, but we'll get the computer back going. We'll get the program loaded up. We'll catch up in a mo. Right, as I said, it's week 2. Now the eagle-eyed amongst you might have noticed I've not actually plugged this turbo trainer in yet. And that is because unlike its predecessor, the power pack to this isn't in the cable, the power cable. It's actually built into the machine itself, so it can power itself wherever it is. The only thing it needs to be plugged into the mains for is for the resistance in the flywheel for when you're going downhill, which I think is pretty bonkers. Whew. Now today's sesh, 3x3, so that's 3 lots of 3 tempos. So tempo being the pace that I can maintain, but it's pretty hard going, with a short rest in between. Hour 20 long. Ooh, right. Catch you in a bit. It never gets any easier. Thought I'd keep training a bit interesting today, so I've got a darts board in the garage behind me there. Watch this, no look dart. I'll have a look where that went in a mo. Oh, and we're done. That was a good sesh. See how my dart ended up. Okay. Where is it? I may have been just off the board on that one. Yikes, don't tell Amy. Okay, and another solid session in the books. We're halfway through week 3 now, and it's nice. I like to be back training. I'm feeling good for the race coming up. I want to actually talk about one of the features I've sort of come to stand out the most actually on this trainer. Sorry. It's the motion plates. Now the motion plates effectively allow the machine to rock, or your bike to rock, back and forth. I think it's 25 mil. Now what that does, you can lock them out, but it helps sort of reduce the fatigue when riding. So if they're locked out solid, all the small vibrations, all the movements are just going through you, your joints, your whole body, and you're riding almost tenser. Whereas now, if I start pedaling, you see it rocking backwards and forwards a touch. It's sort of mimicking a natural movement that I'd almost do on the bike. It's pretty cool. Okay, we got another session this week. I'm gonna get outside, do some riding at the weekend, see how I feel, see how this is sort of paid off on real bike time. We'll catch back up then.
It's the end of the 3rd week, people, and I'm feeling pretty good. The indoor riding is going well. The training plan seems to be suiting my needs. I'm feeling fit and strong and healthy, even after just the 3 weeks. But I want to know how indoor riding is going to translate to the real world, to outdoors, to mountain biking, because that's, you know, what we all want to know. So I'm heading up the local. The XC bike's in the back of Horace here. We're going to go spin some laps, see how we get on, compare it to maybe some times, just have a little feel of how I was, because we're going to a local I know the loop's like the back of my hand, this one here in fact. And then I'll catch back up with you at the end of the ride, so I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, great little ride done. Let's head back home, carry on the training. We've got week 4, we've got week 5 to go, but I felt strong on the bike, I felt fit, I felt capable. It's pretty slippy conditions out there, so it's kind of hard to compare sometimes, but a lot of fire road sprinting where you can really tell where you're getting the power down, and felt good, so onwards. Right, we're heading into week 5. I've got a couple of sessions this week. We're back at home checking in, and I've got my final FTP test to do before we're done and dusted and I head out to America. Now, it's, you know, definitely been beneficial, I think, using indoor training this past 5 weeks. And, you know, I have used it in the past as well. And I find sort of the rigidity to a point and the structure of it really does help. However, that flexibility of being able to choose your plan that's tailored to you and your fitness ability, that's a really big thing here, I think, is that actually you can choose plans on the Tax app which you think are achievable but going to be tough, or whether that be regards to effort or time is really beneficial. Now this week I've got one in here, it's like 8x1 power with a 30-minute tempo session in it. So that tempo is going to help build endurance, but as I said at the beginning of the video, mountain bikes very stop-starty, very sprinty. So these 8x1 minutes of essentially sprints really help to train that in as well. And if I want to adapt that in the future, I can choose sort of their brickwork or their racing programs as well, which will be exactly to what I need. But it means I've got to do this session, I've got another one to do. We'll get them done and we'll check back in at the FTP test. Okay, so let's get that 30-minute tempo, 8x1 sprints in. I'll be honest, feeling a little unmotivated because it's been a hectic week at work and I'm a little bit tired, but turbo set up, that's the convenience of it. Things are looking good. Let's go riding. So my laptop's died. I'm going to use my phone this time on the Tax training app. So here we go. That one, Bazinga. And that one, it's synced. And there we go. Start now. Bazinga. So that is synced to my heart rate monitor and the Tax trainer. So it's pretty convenient really, and remember, that trainer's not even plugged in. That's actually pretty smart. Anyway, catch you in a minute, we got train. Okay, that's that one done. Time for an FTP test, but first, let's get this place looking a bit jazzier. Here we go then, the final FTP test. My heart rate is going up on screen as I can see it happening live, so there's only really one thing for it. Let's get pedaling, see if I've got any fitter. Flipping hope I have. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt a lot. And we out. It's been a while, so I'm gonna get my breath back, go take a shower, and I'll catch you back at the house. Woo! Okay, and we're done. Now, the result of that final FTP test was 303. Yep, so I'd actually gone up 6 watts from the beginning of the 5 weeks. Now, that might seem a negligible amount, and you could argue that maybe I felt better one day than I did the other day. However, I think the main takeaway here is, one, that FTP has actually gone up over a 5-week course, but also my just general fitness and bike fitness as a whole, my ability to sustain efforts, my ability to ride longer at a more consistent pace has also increased. So it definitely does prove that indoor training does play a huge part in maintaining and improving fitness, and is well worth, if you are looking at racing or just improving your fitness, investing in a turbo trainer regardless of its price. Like I said, this Neo 3M that we've got is the flagship model. However, there are models starting from far cheaper at far more attainable prices to really suit every need and budget out there. Is this something that you'd consider doing off the back of seeing this? I definitely think it is worth a think. And have you tried indoor training in the past? Maybe you've had a good experience, bad experience. If you have, let me know.
What does it take to be one of the fastest XC riders in the world? Dedication, hard work, a boatload of riding? I reckon so, but what about an Olympic athlete at the top of their game and the top of their sport? Thanks to Garmin, I'll be putting myself through the ringer once more as I undertake another grueling challenge. For the next 7 days, I'm going to be following Canyon Collective rider Luca Schwarzbauer's training plan to see just how tough it is. But there's a catch. I'm not going to be doing it alone. Yes, to throw a curveball at the video, then I've also recruited someone else to try this week-long sufferfest. Our average Joe, Leo the cameraman. Why have I dragged poor old Leo into this? Well, I've done my time training, racing and shifting weight at the gym. Leo, on the other hand, hasn't. He's a weekend warrior, a part-time shredder, someone who just rides solely for fun. So how will he fare? Day one, rest day. I've decided to lay low and hide back here at home. I've got work to do on the computer, so we're going to do that and focus on that. Now, in an average training week, Luca's going to do around 18 to 20 hours plus of training in a week. An astonishing amount. That's going to be split between gym work and bike work, of course. Now, the average person, we're probably looking at about 3 to 4 hours of riding a week, if we're lucky, splitting, you know, home commitments, work time, and everything else in between. So he's an absolute monster for doing that. And this isn't like just a rough guideline, this plan that we're following. Oh no, this is his actual training plan. Like I said, this is what he did in the lead up to Novia Mesto World Cup. So we are going to try and follow the legit plan to the T for the week. And we're going to be doing that using obviously Garmin products. So we're going to be using watches, we're going to be using heart rate straps and obviously head units as well to sort of record and use all of that data to see just how we're getting on and how we fare against the big man himself.
Neil caught up with Luca to see what advice he had for us.
What advice would you give to my colleagues for trying to follow your plan?
Good sleep is super important, the basics. Good recovery, fueling at the right time, which means not at 10 o'clock, all the amount of carbs, in the evening, that you normally should eat in small portions throughout the whole day. The same with the proteins. It's always crucial to fuel well on the bike. Sometimes you need to eat even more than you would think. It's also important to fuel straight after his training. So Rich and Leo, I just wish you best of luck and go full gas. I hope you're gonna enjoy the pain a little bit, and let's see.
First session after the rest day. So this is Tuesday today.
Yeah.
Leo, we're off to the gym, aren't we?
We're off to the gym.
Core sesh. Oh my God, that hurt. Yeah. I know, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the week?
I don't know.
He's lost for words.
I reckon it's going to be tough.
It is. Now,
really tough.
Luca is known for being a bit of a beast, so there are some hefty rides incoming because, well, he is literally one of the world's best.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and replicate the sort of prep and the training he does. Easier said than done. Obviously, we've got time restrictions, as we said, things like that. We're going to go hit the gym. Yeah. We're going to do a core workout, 30-minute core workout, and then we've got our ride later on. So we'll check back in a bit. Okay, we're done, Leo. How's the gym workout portion?
Easy enough.
Easy enough? All right.
It's only going to get worse from here, though.
It 100% is.
Bit out the way.
It 100% is going to get harder because you've got 2-hour ride to do. I've got 4-hour ride. Now, I've got a little bit more time, luckily, than you because you got a load of editing to do, right?
Yeah.
So we're in for a big day. We're hitting the ground running here, but luckily it does then get a bit more chilled tomorrow. I say chilled. It's not really.
No, not at all.
Not at all. All right, let's check back in on the ride. And we're off. So today's session, a 4-hour 15 Zone 2 ride. Now, Zone 2 refers to sort of the level at which your heart rate is at. So we'll have sort of certain brackets, if you like. So Zone 1 being very easy, Zone 5 being much, much harder. Zone 2 is a sustainable pace that you can keep up for a long time, essentially. So for me, that's my heart rate sitting between 130 to 150. Now, this depends on your fitness levels, of course, but Garmin will sort of take note of the activities you do and adjust this accordingly. So on Leo's, those zones are going to be slightly different because Leo, my old boy, you won't mind me saying this, you're maybe not quite as fit. But don't worry, because zone 2 is obviously relevant to everybody. So it's still going to be a good workout for him. Now today is a mixture of on and off road. Keep it fun, it says. So that's what we're going to do. We're cruising out on the road at the moment and we are heading to the woods. Right, I've just pulled over, so I thought I'd give you a little update because I've just been stung by a wasp in the temple. Oh, it's well sore. Perils of no hair. Anyway, it seemed a good point at catching up anyway. So we're nearly halfway into this ride. I'm about 45k in and we're about to head off-road in a minute, if you like. So all is going well and stunning views. But why would you do 4-hour rides when an XC race is only an hour and a half? Well, you got to get the miles up to get the body used to sort of that overload, if you like. Once the body can take a lot of, or become under a lot of stress, if you like, then you can start to build up the level of those stresses. So he'll start working on really intense kind of rides, much more power-based stuff, which I think is coming later in the week. But that's enough out of me. I'm going to put the lid back on and hopefully soothe my sore temple. Let's catch up with Leo, see how he's getting on.
Right, finally made it out. It's really going to be interesting to see how this week goes because this is the first ever like structured training that I've done. It's not something I've tried before. So I'm intrigued to see what it's like. Definitely in at the deep end. So hopefully it's going to be a good week. We'll have to wait and see.
That's a wrap. Whew. 4 hours, 5 minutes, 92.5k. I felt good for pretty much all of that, maintaining all the relative sort of zones and paces we were supposed to. Sort of the 4th hour started getting to me a little bit and I got a headache from the old wasps thing or whatever it is, but it's all going well. So yeah, let's throw it over to Leo, see how he's getting on.
Hello, sir.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
We're getting there, we're getting there.
How are you finding the first session?
It's all right.
Yeah, you make...
I'm struggling to keep it in zone 2. That's the biggest thing that I've like found as a problem.
What, as in like you're going too hard?
Well, not that I'm going too hard. It's just that I start moving and I'm like in zone 3.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're like you're like blasting past zone 2 and straight up to 3 already.
Yeah, well, like especially like if there's any sort of incline, like it's impossible to keep it in zone 2. On like the flat and stuff, I can do it, and like, that's sort of just like a nice cruising pace.
Yeah.
I've been going an hour and 17 moving time, so...
Nearly there, bud, nearly there.
I've started making my way back.
All right, mate, I'll leave you to it. Have a good one. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, okay? Oh, there you go. Sounds like he's doing flipping well and enjoying it. I wasn't quite expecting that response, but yeah, good on the fella. Good on him. Okay, like I said, a cup of tea is needed. See ya.
Right, I'm nearly done, but it's definitely starting to hurt now. I'm just cruising back along the bike path, back into Bath. Feels like a long ride. It's taken longer than 2 hours because I kept having to stop to let my heart rate settle. So riding time is just coming up to 2 hours, but total time it would be now much longer than that. It's 7:30 now. So, looking forward to getting home and having something to eat. That would have felt very, very long. Moving time, 2 hours 11. Stop it there. It's a big first day. It's going to be a long week, that is for sure.
Morning all. Okay, yesterday, heck of a ride. Now the biggest learning curve was just how far you do cover in 4 hours. I kind of forgot because I don't ride for that long very often, but I'm feeling pretty good today. I had a good night's kip. I managed to track it on my Garmin watch and it said I had about 8.5 hours. So maybe not training readiness wise was down a little obviously, but you know, this is not meant to be easy this week. So anyway, today's session, I'm gonna let Leo tell you all about that.
Cheers, Rich. Yeah, today we've got a 2 hour road ride. So we've got a 30 to 40 minute warm up and then 55 minutes in zone 3 with a 10-second sprint at the end of every 10 minutes. So it says on it should hurt a little, so I'm sure it will. So going to be a good one. Let's get it.
The reason he'll be doing something like this is it won't be any more intense than that, because essentially he doesn't want to get tired for the race, luckily for us. So it makes our intervals a little bit more chill. But it is a windy day today. But yeah, so far so good. Legs are feeling all right. But 40 minutes is nearly upon us, which means interval time. Catch you in a bit.
So I've not come out on this road ride alone.
Hey!
Brought my dad with me for a bit of company. He's on the e-bike, of course, and I'm on the road bike.
Here we go. First sprint, 10 seconds coming up. Let's go. Only another 5 more to go. Yowzers. Check-in time. It's a pretty tough session this one. My legs are a little more fatigued than I thought from yesterday. But all is good. We're cracking on. Hopefully Leo is as well. I think he's going to notice the difference from zone 2 to step up to zone 3.
Legs are definitely feeling sore at the end of that last one. And the heart rate's staying much higher up. So staying more in zone 4 than getting it into zone 3. So I can definitely feel the fatigue and that hurting a little bit. It's definitely true.
Done. 2 hours. And there we go. Another day, another $1.
Right, that's that ride done. Back at the office now to grab my bits and head home to rest up. Definitely feeling pretty shattered after that one. That was definitely tough and legs were feeling very dead towards the end. That's 2 big days for what I'm used to. So yeah, need some rest after that. Whew.
Lightning.
Ricardo.
How's it going?
Not bad, you?
Yeah, all right. Have you survived to tell the tale?
I have. It was actually not too bad.
What? Get you fitness freak.
It like hurt towards the end. Yeah, like the legs when you're like keeping it in zone 3.
Yeah, it's quite tough. Zone 3 is a considerable knock up from zone 2, isn't it? How was it riding a road bike for the first time?
Actually quite nice. It was a bit uncomfortable at first. Once I got used to it, I quite liked it.
Yeah? Good work. Good work. And how are we feeling for tomorrow?
I don't know.
I'll give you a shout tomorrow. Catch up again.
Yeah, have a good one.
Cheers, Leo. Bye, buddy.
Bye.
Nice. Well, it sounds like Leo has got on pretty flipping good in the end. The guy doesn't really get out on the road too much. You know, he's been shoved on a road bike, you know, that he's never ridden before. As have I suppose, but I've ridden a lot of bikes in my time, and he's absolutely crushing it. Fair play to him. I think he is feeling the pinch with, you know, work balances and that, shall we say, as I am luckily a little bit more flexible than Leo, I'm not going to lie, because I can sort of get out and do it a little bit easier. But today's session was pretty tough, and I think that is the thing. I think tomorrow's is going to be even harder. So I think we'll check back in the morning. We'll have a little look at some stats on Garmin Connect of how it's sort of saying my training's going, my readiness, things like that, and dive in from there. So from me, good night, and I'll see you in the morning. Good morning, everybody. Right, it's a new day, a new training session. Today is 4 hours long. I've got some time to do it, luckily, today. It's going to be a bit of a later finish, but it's not the end of the world. Leo, on the other hand, I know is struggling in terms of time because we've got some big edits coming out, which he's having to work on. But I know he's going to try and complete something, but I'll let him tell you about that in a bit. So let's get geared up, let's get cracking, out for a ride, and then I'll hit you with some of those Garmin stats I was talking about yesterday. So let's talk about those stats and those kind of numbers that Garmin correlates. So Garmin sort of work as an ecosystem. So watches, pedals, heart rate straps, head units, etc. all kind of combines together. Now what that does is give you an absolute mountain of data.
But on the Garmin Connect app, it translates that data in a much more usable fashion. So today, my training readiness, as you can see, is 58 out of 100. The reason is because my load, or the amount of training and riding that I'm doing, is so much higher than normal. Hang on, let's come to a stop. So I'm just not recovering, or my body's not used to that amount of load. However, if it was to sort of bump up and go into, I think it's the purple or the blue, that would mean I was much more ready. And actually, if you scroll across and then we can see training productivity, I'm unproductive. And again, it's because my body isn't used to it. I'm doing way more than I am normally, but luckily my good sleep score and my sort of good HRV being sort of the measure of time between your heartbeats. So it measures this when I wear my watch at night and it's sort of scanning in the background, if you like. And the sleep score bumping up my training readiness. Now, obviously, because myself and Leo, we have jobs, we have normal lives to go about, as does Luca, I'm sure. But essentially, you know, a pro athlete also has masseuses, physiotherapists, they have nutritionists, they have like proper structured training plans. They aren't doing much else around it. So they're able to actually put in the time and recover a lot easier. But having said that, the ride must go on. There's a tractor coming down the track and I don't want to get run over. So we'll see you in a bit. This has been a tough ride. We've got 45 minutes to go. Yeah, my legs are feeling it now. The training sessions are taking their toll. My quads are sore, should we say. But you know, no pain, no gain. Or something like that anyway. There is definitely pain. Hopefully some gain.
Right, reality of trying to do a World Cup Pros training plan with at the same time as your full-time job is hitting today, as it's 4:30 and I've still got a way to go on and edit, and which I've got to get done today. So reality of looking like I'm not going to be able to do a 4-hour road ride. Pretty tired after the last couple of days. The legs are sore. It's a lot more training and riding than I'd ever normally do in 2 days. Failing the training plan today, so free rest day, which isn't planned, but we'll get back to it tomorrow and see how we go.
Oh my God. That one was tough. The last 45 minutes of that, my heart rate remained the same. Oh, I'm salty as a sea dog. Heart rate remained the same, but the power was dropping off. I was getting real tired at the end of that one. Looking forward to the rest day tomorrow and catching up with old Lightning McQueen, see how he's getting on. Yowzers, I think it's time for a recovery drink, ice bath, well, cold bath because I ain't got no ice, and some chill. Yes! What's up, everybody? It's rest day today, isn't it, Leo?
No,
What
it's
do you mean, no?
recovery day.
Oh, recovery, all right, yeah, we don't actually get to rest. I am feeling pretty knackered after yesterday's ride. The effects this morning, I was pretty tired. My body battery, according to Connect here, was 8 out of 100. It's climbed up to 18. That's pretty tired.
That is very tired.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. I failed yesterday. I had a busy day at work, so didn't manage to get out for any road riding, which is probably a blessing in disguise because I don't think I'd have made it very far on the road bike yesterday.
Not for 4 hours. So I want to touch on psychologically, how are you doing?
It's more tough psychologically than I thought it was going to be be fair.
Really? So like just actually getting up and getting out?
Yeah. Like
I thought that might be the case.
I found Tuesday really tough because actually I got back quite late because I didn't leave as early as I wanted to go on the ride. Got back to the office and then got home, so then it was like 8:30 and then you shower, cook dinner, eat, and then you're basically going to bed. So it was just like, didn't feel like I had any time to sort of recover and chill.
Yeah.
Because then you're straight back into work the next day.
Ruthless, isn't it?
Yeah, that was tougher than I thought.
Today, we've got an 1.5 hour chiller ride, so we have called upon the e-bikes. Yeah, electric power is going to get some fun, but good saddle time today. We're going to go shred.
Let's do it.
is a wrap on today's recovery, not rest. Yeah, no, there's no such thing as a rest. Right, all good rides end on a cup of tea. You're gonna have a sarnie, aren't you? Because you're starving. Yeah. Man's got to eat. And then on to a savage ride tomorrow, which we'll catch up with in the morning. See you later. It's a slow start today. Leo, it's his birthday on Tuesday. He went out for a birthday meal last night. Everybody wish him happy birthday in the comments down below.
Oh, thanks, guys.
They haven't done it yet.
Well, I trust them.
I'm sure they will. Today is a joint session. We're doing it together, but is the most savage session of the week, as Luca said. So what was it? It was a 5-minute hill climb.
Yes, at full power.
8-minute recovery. Another 1.5 minute hill climb at 95% power. And then a 7-minute recovery. Repeat 8 times?
7 to 8 times. 7.
And I'll be honest, I'm feeling it today. Leo, proper pissed up last night. This guy sent me videos at 3 in the morning. It was unbelievable.
That's not true. I'm an athlete this week.
Oh, wow, yeah. I mean, so we are both feeling a little jaded, a little tired this morning, but the show must go on, eh, Leo?
It must.
The enthusiasm from the leg. The enthusiasm. Look, he's on my oys. I'm on the Lux Trail. We're going to go crush hills. We'll check in a bit and hopefully not be puking in a bush, will we?
Where's the motor on this?
There ain't no motor on that, buddy. They're there. 1 horsepower, 2 horsepower. What? Yikes, see you in a mo. Okay, here we go. First hill climb. We're gonna do this one together just so we can get our route sorted. Leonardo DiCaprio. Remember, this is supposed to be full gas, but you've got to be able to finish it.
Yeah.
So there's full gas and then there's not quite full gas. I'll let you take the lead, Leo. I do get the cop out here, obviously, because I get potentially a slightly easier workout. If you can, Leo, how are we feeling? Let me know.
Sore already.
Sore?
Yeah.
Already. You're doing a good pace, dude. So, this is not going to be an easy session. But remember, if you need to go slower, to actually complete it, go slower. And chill. How was that first one of the first rep, if you like? Horrible. No, first rep of the first set.
Horrible.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a good pace though, dude. First round done. Some pretty hefty heart rate results for you already there, wasn't it, Leo?
Getting up there very high.
and the problem you noticed was like the recovery, although like a good amount of time, you know, you ain't a World Cup athlete.
I'm far from it.
So that recovery time takes longer. So, yeah. You know, you're getting straight back up there quickly. I'm going to peel off from you now. We're going to still be doing the same amounts of time.
Yeah.
But we kind of agreed I might be going just a touch quicker.
A little bit faster, I reckon.
You know, fair enough.
Think you up or anything.
I know.
I think you got a bit on it.
Just. So I'm gonna go find a longer hill.
Yeah.
You're gonna stick with the route that we did together on this first one.
Yeah.
We'll kind of be vlogging as we go, sort of how we feel, maybe some numbers.
Yeah.
And then catch up at the end of this one, shall we?
Let's do it.
Good luck, dude. See you later. Leslie. See you, Leo.
Sorry. Yep, I messed up. Didn't know that my GoPro was in time lapse. Fair to say the training was getting me a bit tired. Not much of a cameraman, eh? Whoopsie. 3 reps in and I was knackered. I did not fancy my chances of getting to 7.
Oh wow, these are real gnarly. A 5-minute max effort uphill is wild at the best of times. But after the week I've had, jeez, poor Leo, he must be cooked. Two to go. We got this. Might have to call on my inner Schwarzbauer to get through this one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and the last 5-minute push. Leo.
Let's do this, Richard.
I like it. I like it. Leo, I don't like this.
I take it back, I don't like it. Three, 2, 1, and relax. And look at that face.
Oh my God.
Hang on.
We've got a minute and a half to go.
Minute and a half, so we got 8 minutes recovery, and we got a minute and a half sprint, 95%, and then recover, and we out of here, people.
Oh, yeah.
He's done it. Oh, that was a good one.
Oh man.
Training session complete.
Done. What a way to spend your Saturday, eh?
Stop.
Douche.
Nice. I want to know some of your stats post-ride. So average heart rate.
Average heart rate was 140 beats per minute.
Distance?
21.6k.
Nice. Climbing?
778 meters.
Max heart rate. I think that's an interesting one.
189.
Wow, right up there.
Right, that is right up there.
So that's almost top of zone 5 for you, really.
Yes, that's very near max.
Yeah, that's not particularly sustainable, obviously.
No.
You survived to tell the tale, and I see you're now refueling.
Refueling, big time.
Good lad.
Big time. Right, Sunday morning, and I am moving slow today. Yesterday's finished me off. I am knackered. My legs are very sore. So I don't think I would be doing a 4-hour ride today. And also, I heard Rich has gone a bit off script today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Leo. Today is supposed to be a 4-hour zone 1 recovery ride. My legs are feeling pretty cooked. My training readiness, it says, is 54, I think it was, out of 100. They don't feel 54, but instead, I'm booked in to race motocross today. I bet you Luca's not doing that. So cue moto montage, and let's catch up later.
Ouch.
Ouch. My week ended with a bit of a bang there, didn't it?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it came to a sudden stop at the end.
What are you doing? Can't park there, mate.
I couldn't park there, you're right. But we're done though, Leo. We've survived the week. It's now background to the Monday rest day.
No, rest week.
Rest week. We're
not doing it again.
For this guy. So let's crunch a few numbers. Well, actually, no. First up, let's rewind. How did you find it? How did you find the week, I want to know, as a whole?
It's hard. It wasn't maybe as physically hard as I thought it was going to be, somehow.
Okay.
I was still like knackered and the legs were cooked. Mentally, it was a lot more challenging than I thought it was going to be. Like, the psychological side of it.
We sort of spoke about this, didn't we?
Yeah. That was a lot more challenging than I thought.
In what sense? Just like getting up, getting out, doing the plan, being out riding, that amount of
thought of having to go out for that long.
Yeah.
When that's not something I normally do.
No, that's true.
So that was, a lot more challenging than I thought.
So volume, I mean, we'll call it the volume side of it was your biggest challenge, which I think is entirely understandable in this scenario. Physicality-wise, now obviously we're not going to match the numbers that Luca puts out by any means, but it's all relevant, right? His zones are just higher numbers than our zones, should we say. So but you still found you were, it's hard to say because he obviously did do a little bit less in terms of the quantity that what he does, but you were able to hold what you were supposed to for the times you did it.
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Saturday I thought was going to be like hell.
It was tough.
It was horrible. I didn't think I was going to make it through.
Yeah.
At some parts. Like, I didn't think I was finishing that day.
It's when you hit like that 5th, 6th lap and you're like, oh God, I've still got to go up here again.
Third,
okay.
4th. And like, I was just like, I'm got nothing in me.
Yeah.
But just had to dig so deep, like.
But that's cool.
Deeper
That's
than
a good.
I've probably dug before.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was similar. So my thoughts on the week was I followed the plan to the T sort of all week, if you like. I did all the length training sessions, the little gym works we did, things like that. The only thing that varied for me was, as we saw, the rest day, the zone 1-ish, zone 2, 4-hour rest ride. I actually went and raced motocross.
You went off script there.
I did go a bit off piste on that one. So if anything, I'm going to say I made it a little bit harder for myself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm throwing that out there. But I certainly need that now. But we've got some totals of what we actually did. So in total, the amount of actually sort of working out time, I did 19 hours of working out I did. That's quite a lot. That's double what I would normally do, really.
Yeah. So I was about 9 hours on the bike, so about 9.5.
With the workouts and stuff as well. That's 9 hours,
yeah.
That's a total. I mean, in the week I rode a total of just shy of 360 kilometres on the push bike.
To 109.
But that's a lot, right?
Which is, a lot for me.
Yeah, like that's way over. And then calories-wise, over 11,000 calories, again, only on the bike, so not taking into account the moto stuff. And that's not daily, kind of the daily calories you burn. That's just during those exercises. So.
Yeah. I was 4,300, so quite a bit less, but I missed out on those two.
Yeah, but you were
on the big rides.
Yeah, exactly. Which is where, you know, I think actually what we should say there is that I use a power meter on all of my rides, so it accurately works out calories burnt and stuff as you were just off heart rate. So it's not quite as accurate there. But, you know, Garmin Connect's now telling me if I go training readiness is at 63 out of 100. I feel that's, you know, probably not far off because the legs got a bit of a rest yesterday. Not fully, but, you know, it's not too bad. My training status is unproductive. Now, the reason for that is because I've just, probably like yourself, actually, no, we got an interesting story about yours in a way, but I've just blown that out of the water in terms of sheer quantity that do. So when comparing last week to previous weeks, it's like, wow, you've put yourself in the red zone, essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas yours is different, right?
Productive training status.
Yeah, because that load that you've done, what Garmin's saying there, when it calculates all the numbers and data, it's saying, well, like, you normally do this much. You've done a good amount of effort, essentially, to improve your fitness.
Yes. I've seen unproductive quite a lot when I've previously done, like, when I was doing a lot of running, or trying to do a lot of running and stuff, mixing it with gym, because it was saying my load was good, but I wasn't recovering as well.
Yeah.
So clearly load's high at the moment. In the last week. But I've also had that time to recover as well. Probably with the couple of days that I missed.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting if you'd done the full workout. I think that might have
probably would have
changed the outcome a little bit.
Definitely, yeah.
So I suppose then, to answer the question, can anyone train like an Olympian, a World Cup athlete? You know, someone at the very top of the game. Yes, if you've got the time.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
But I think we can both admit, obviously, we're at varying levels here, aren't we? And I think
big time.
That is probably what made the key difference.
Yeah, I think.
I'd love to see you try the week. If you didn't have such busy work commitments and try it.
Just had a full free week, maybe I'd be able to do it. Because I guess it's a bit more achievable because it's not on distances, it's on times.
And effort.
It's achievable sort of no matter your fitness level. So you can go out and do 2 hours at this amount of effort because my effort's just a lot lower.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like a revisit's needed,
If I had
Leo.
a full free week, maybe I'd be able to do it. So maybe, yes, I would be able to train like an Olympian or World Cup pro.
All right.
But mixing it with full-time job as well, it is.
Yeah.
It's full on.
Plus you love the deli.
Deli
love
does.
the deli.
You do love the deli.
Well, look, let us know in the comments below.
Mountain biking and cycling in general, for that matter, is great for weight loss and weight management, be it to hit a certain target or blast it at your next race. But it can be a bumpy road, and for all your hard efforts, results might be slow or sometimes non-existent. Well, don't worry. Today, I've got some great tips and tricks to help you get to, well, wherever you want to be. Let's start with our diet, as no matter what we do or how much we're trying to keep an eye on losing or maintaining our weight, if we don't keep an eye on what we're putting into our bodies, we're going to be fighting a bit of a losing battle. Yeah, let me just put it this way. If you're keen on those cakes, love a full English or those bacon and egg sarnies, no matter how much riding you do or how much calorie counting you do, losing weight is going to be difficult. It's going to be an uphill struggle. That's not to say, though, I don't want to be a party pooper, that you can't have any of these things. It's just everything in moderation. And what it essentially boils down to is something called your calorie deficit.
calorie deficit, put simply, is when you consume fewer calories than your body uses or burns. Let's take a look at a quick example. Say I start the day with a solid breakfast, 500 calories. Cup of tea, 20. Snack mid-morning and another cuppa, 200 calories. Lunch, 600, dinner, 800. Another snack, 100, that's 2,220 calories, give or take. During all this, I go for an hour-and-a-half mountain bike ride. But I have an energy drink, 250 calories, and some bars, that's another 450. Plus a tea and cake stop, of course, there's 300 calories. Total, about 1,000. On my ride, I burn 1,500 calories, and my basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories burnt in a day just living, is roughly 1,800 calories. So in total, I've burnt 3,200 calories on that day, but I've consumed around 3,222, a difference of only 20 calories. I know, not a lot, but you could see it's easy to go above and could quickly add up. I daren't say then that there might be a few more indulgences thrown in there as well, especially if I'm working in the office for the day, say, and I'm not doing that a ride where I burn those 1,500 calories, then I'm definitely going to go over the amount of calories I should have in a day. It is important to say then that combined with our riding, what we eat, if we want to lose a bit of weight, is really important. So when it comes down to riding, what should we do? Well, for that, we're going to go find our resident Olympic expert. It is Mr. Olympics himself, Ollie Beckinsale. Let's go find him. Oh, welcome back to the woods. Good to have you on, buddy. Now, before we dive into the latter part of the video, I want to touch on sort of the benefits of losing a little bit of weight, not just for cycling, but life in general. We're going to start with wear and tear.
Yeah, I mean, if you think if we're a little bit lighter, a bit less load on the joints, I think for most mountain bikers, probably a bit less load in the back. And I think just in general on the bike, if we're a bit lighter, less stress on the arms, we have to hold a lighter body when we're descending. So I think it's, and it's not just for racers, I think it's for all of us.
Gotcha. Right, now let's throw some other terms out there where other areas it's going to help. We've got FTP.
Yep.
Power to weight, watts per kilo, right?
Yeah.
All of these kind of tech jargon. So FTP, functional threshold power.
Yep.
Essentially an effort you can sustain for X amount of time, right?
About 40 to 60 minutes. What power could you hold? So if we were lucky enough to suddenly click our fingers and be in Morzine, what could you hold? What power could you sustain for that mountain up to the top?
Okay.
And then watts per kilo, it's that threshold power. So basically it's where you go from being efficient to inefficient.
Right.
So if we hit a climb and we're working too hard, we start going over that FTP or threshold power. You'll tell because you lose control of your breathing, you lose out of breath. Really inefficient. You'll last about 10 minutes at that period. If you ride below that threshold power, you can last for an hour.
Okay.
So it's a big cut-off. But that's linked to power to weight. So that's where the watts per kilo.
So all these things are tied in together, right?
Yeah, so it's how fit are we, your power you can produce for an hour.
Okay.
And also then how heavy are we, and that's your bike and yourself. So if we're a little bit lighter, it means we're going to climb more efficiently, we're going to climb easier or longer, whatever you're trying to, or if you're in a rush, faster. You know, if we're doing a 3-hour ride, me and my mates riding around South Wales, if we are a little bit lighter, we can climb a bit easier. That last half hour, we're going to be able to clear the technical section, we're going to be fresher, we're going to enjoy it more. So just taking that, feeling that little bit lighter is going to help us all in loads of ways.
Now, I'm going to call out some friends on this next one. It's kind of like feeling better about yourself combined with saving a few pounds. They will spend God knows how much money trying to make their bike lighter, when actually if they just cut down on the cakes maybe, you know who you are, boys, it has the same effect.
Yeah, so if we're looking at that power to weight, it's not just us, it's the complete package bike as well. So you are right, if we take some weight off our bike, that's going to help, but probably an easier way, definitely more cost-effective way, is to take that 100 grams off us. You know, instead of spending 600 quid on the carbon cranks to take the 100 grams off the bike, a little bit of weight loss from us is going to help that power to weight ratio just as much.
And be better for the bank, and you feel better about yourself. It's a winner-winner.
It's a win.
So I've touched on the dietary side of things. Ollie's touched on a few great reasons why losing weight can be really beneficial to your cycling. But if you're really serious about it and you want to kind of keep track and monitor how your progress is getting on,
well then some form of gizmo is really useful for this. And there are some great gizmos out there, things like heart rate straps and head units. There's wearables like watches, and power meters are really the one if you really want to get serious about losing those calories. But you've got to be careful, mind. There are some very easy ways to over or underestimate the amount of calories that you're burning. For example, if you're using just an app alone to track your calories burnt, well, they don't have much information to go on. I know you input kind of a date of birth and age, but they haven't got any external sensors to read off of. So that actually, the variation can be up to 60% on the amount of calories that you've actually burnt on that ride. If you want to up the accuracy, then a heart rate strap is where you'd want to go to next. Upping the accuracy to about a 20% sort of variation, given that you use other numbers such as I said, your age, date of birth, weight, all on these apps as well. But if you really want the most accurate way of calorie counting, then a power meter is the one, giving a 5% sort of variable. And that's because it's literally measuring the amount of energy you burn to move the cranks. The minefield continues as well, because food labelling is actually only legally required to be within 20% accurate of its caloric content. That means you're trying to track the numbers on the back of your bars or whatever as accurately as possible, but there's still a huge variation. Combine the inaccuracy on here with the potential inaccuracy on your data, and you could find yourself that you're well off on your rides. Talking about rides, what can you do?
So you talked before about calorie deficit. So there's a couple of ways we can achieve that in our ride. So we can either go harder in a ride or we can ride for longer. Those are our two options, really.
Right, so if we're going to go harder, that's sort of a high intensity session, right?
Yeah, so if you've got, most of us are a bit time crunched. So say, for example, you've got 3 1-hour rides a week and we're trying to burn more calories. So the only way we're going to do that, if we're stuck with the 3, is to ride harder in our rides. So we could add some intervals, traditional intervals, so some harder sections. You could do something specific if you really wanted to. So you could go, okay, I'm going to find a hill and I'm going to ride 6 1-minute hard hills. Add those into your normal trail ride. You're going to burn more calories, you're going to work harder, and therefore you're going to achieve that deficit. So also you're going to do as well is when we're doing something intense, we're causing some muscle damage. So you could have some sprints or some overgear work. That muscle damage that you feel maybe in the evening or the next day, that takes quite a lot of calories, extra calories, to repair. So that's going to also help that calorie deficit. So not just burning more in the ride, we're burning more
to repair
and after the ride. So that's going to help almost double. And then the other option we've got, of course, is to do more. So we can ride a little bit extra each week than we normally do and just do more hours on the bike.
Are we talking like 2, 3, 4-hour rides?
I don't think it has to be anything too time specific. I ride about 3 hours a week. So we said before about riding harder in those 3 hours. I could also maybe try and get 4 or 5 hours. And we're talking consistently, so over a week or over a month. And it's those longer, steadier rides when we're riding at a steady pace. And what I call a steady pace is where you can still have a conversation.
It's like a zone 3?
Zone 2, zone 3.
Okay.
When you're there, you're burning a large quantity of body fat as well. It's not just the sugars. At a steadier riding, we're actually burning fat itself as a fuel source. So again, that's a really nice, efficient way of making ourselves healthier and losing weight. So doing a bit more each week, and the key is being consistent. So it's not just 1 week where we get carried away, but it's more over a long period of time.
Okay, I touched on sort of diet and food, and I don't want to make it the be-all and end-all. It's not all about sort of celery water and dehydrated cauliflower and God knows what else. We've got to keep the spark, we've got to keep the love for cycling alive. And sometimes that actually means not riding, right? So doing other things. I like a bit of motocross, climbing. That keeps it interesting for me.
And I think the most important thing with fitness in general, and definitely weight loss, it's all about consistency. So what we don't want to do is go absolutely bonkers for a month. Like, say, trying to eat really healthily, trying to ride more, and then
like say, lose the love for it, and then have a month where we do very little and put the weight back on it.
Okay.
That does enough. That's
Consistency.
Consistency is the key with all kind of training and definitely weight loss as well. So I think if we talked about that calorie deficit, calorie burn, so just doing a bit more of moving, that could be on the bike. It could be on a nice mountain bike ride if the weather's great. But like you say, it could be another sport, it could be some gym work, it could be a run, it could be going and playing football, it could be anything that just increases that calorie burn. But again, if we're riding a bit less, trying to do some other stuff to maintain that calorie burn each week is really important.
Quick Q&A for you. Biggest obstacle people face when trying to lose weight on the bike?
I think the first one is actually bizarrely under-fueling.
Okay.
So they're having less calories when they're riding. So they're going, right, I'm going to lose weight. So they head out on the trail just with a bottle of water, and then they finish completely depleted.
Yeah.
Even as far as kind of coming back to the car completely daisy. They then hit the calf and go mad. So what they've ended up doing is they've had less calories on the bike, loads more in the cafe or back at home afterwards, and then overall they've had more calories. So actually making sure we have some fuel on the bike, whether it's some energy bar, some carbohydrate drink or something, just so that when we finish, we're not so starving, means we eat less bad food at the end.
Do you need a fancy bike and equipment to lose weight?
No. You need motivation. That's the key. So again, I'll go back again. It's be motivated to do it. It's moving more. It's making some slightly better food choices. It's being consistent with your training. But the big thing, motivation.
Does weight even matter if you're not competing? If you're not an XC racing snake?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for your XC World Cup guys, that power to weight ratio, that's what it's all about. That's kind of a really big deal. But I think for everybody, just enjoying your riding a little bit more, feeling more nimble on your bike, just feeling better at the end of that long ride, I think it's essential. I think it's important for everybody, not just the racers.
I think it knocks into your day-to-day life as well, then, doesn't it? Just doing day-to-day things, right?
Yeah, and I think the big thing I think for the mountain bike is at that last end, we all get to that last climb and the last big descent on an epic ride. You know, the best days you can have on a mountain bike. And if you're just that bit lighter and you fueled a bit better, you're just going to hammer that last descent, less chance of crashing, more smiles on your face. I don't think having a better power to weight is just for the racers, it's for everyone.
So there we go, some helpful hints to hopefully help you lose weight. But remember, it's all about just having fun, getting out on your bike. Put that above everything else, because that is what is most important. But thank you very much for watching. Thanks to Ollie for being in this video as well. Always a pleasure to have him. And until next time, I'll catch you later.